And we're live. Hello, everyone. Greetings from your friendly ex-Muslim and Abdullah Gondal. How is everyone doing? It's been a while. It's been a really long time, hasn't it?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me back, and welcome back to the Two Abdullahs show. We've been away for a few months. I've been busy. We've been in lockdown, so hope everybody's safe, sound, and healthy. Uh, I've been up to a few things. Haven't been staying idle. So today we're going to be talking about continuing on our Islamic nonsense or the Circus in Islam presentation. Where we left off last time was around slide 50 out of 100. And we're going to try to get to as much as we can, maybe about slide 80 or so. But then I also want to share with you guys what I have been up to for the past 2 months and why was I away. I've been doing some research into the neuroscience and mental health of Muhammad, and I have uncovered a lot of references. I think I have more than 150 references that I've from different Islamic books talking about him convulsing. There's like 30 references about him shaking, some about him fainting. And I've sourced it from Shia and Sunni narration. So we will be going through that in detail. I'll make a whole video about it, probably a documentary style, because the evidence, there's just so much explicit statements about him having full-on convulsive seizures with foam coming out of and froth coming out of his mouth. But anyways, I will show you some of those sneak peeks at the end. But for now, what we will do is we will start off with our first slide. So let's put that on there so you can see what we have for you here. If in case you guys don't remember what kind of content this is, we had, I think, flying carpets, talking genies, talking animals, shooting stars, chasing genies, and whatnot. Like, you can get everything. So Samir, would you want to add that to the stream, and let's get started?
Did you share your screen? I don't see it.
Okay, let me share the screen. Perfect.
Oh, and thank you, P, for coming, and salam and zakat to Abdullah's likes and subscribe be upon him. Will he watch this show later as it's late? Keep it up. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, so you're gonna share. Oh yeah, you did share the screen. Okay, there we go.
So the first one we're starting with today is heart surgery with Zamzam sanitizer. Given that it's the pandemic going on, what's funny is like this is narrated that the angels came to me and took me to the Zamzam, and my heart was open and washed with the water of Zamzam, and then I was left at my place. It's quite an interesting narration because this occurs in many early seer books, and this happened when Muhammad was once a child, when he was like 4 or 5, playing with his playmates with his foster parents, and then suddenly these two people came and dressed in white. They ripped open his chest and played with his belly. Then they washed it with Zamzam, placed it back, washed out the. What's funny is they say they washed out the clot of evil inside of his heart, or removed the evil or purified him. What's funny is, why would you need him to be purified? Like, what was inside of his heart? What is this? Was there like original sin? Some people have pointed out is related to, but what's the whole point of washing this out? Then another interesting thing is, like, if you were to go into the details of this specific incident, this incident happened to him as a child. We are told that instantly Muhammad's foster parents' first reaction was the kid's going nuts, and they put him on the back of a camel and returned him to his mom. And this incident then repeats again by the night of the Miraj, when the angels come and cut open his chest again. But it's just weird, like these angels are like coming and like doing these open heart surgeries in 7th century Arabia.
It is strange. Yeah, I don't know. Why would they describe it as cutting the heart? And what do you think is the significance of saying it that way? Do you think it was based on where he was feeling pain in his body that he said my heart was cut? Why would you think it would be described that way?
Well, Dr. Dideker, he's a neurologist, and my research into this whole thing, he says that this is one of the most common types of sensations that occur, or as an aura during a seizure, these epigastric risings, and they're accompanied by visceral pain in some parts. So During that time, and Muhammad is having these pains in his belly, he's hallucinating, or he's thinking that there are these people ripping up his body. And you see multiple cases of this, and this exact hallucination repeats at least twice. And Muslim scholars speculate it happened more than that, most probably. Some say it even happened once before the revelation began in the cave of Hira. There are some narrations to that. But the epigastric rising is very common. And in fact, if in the further details of this narration, it says that his chest was cut open from here, like his belly, all the way here. And then they took, and in some of them, they bring like a bowl of water of Zamzam, and in some is like a gold bowl of gold water or something, and they wash his heart inside of it. And it's just like, what is this going on? The other thing is like, why did he see two people? Again, we'll go into more detail in the full presentation that I'm going to prepare for you. But Dr. Kokot says that it's diplopia, where the people that have this issue, they might see two apparitions of two humans, as in it the nerve fibers cross in the temporal lobes and whatnot. We'll get into that later on, but let's move on to the next slide. Let's see what we have. Ooh, 4K projector stream from heaven. This one's interesting. Here it says, the Prophet led us in prayer and then went up to the pulpit and beckoned with both hands towards the Qibla of the mosque and said, when I started leading you in prayer, I saw the display of paradise and hell on the wall of the mosque. I never saw good and bad as I've seen today. And he repeated the statement 3 times. So that's very interesting. Like, this guy's just praying, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and then in front of him, he's like, this movie's playing where like these guys are being roasted and tortured, or these other people are like playing with hoodies and whatnot, eating pomegranates and. But like, what is this? Like 4K? I don't know. Nowadays it's what, 8K? We got 8K screens, OLED, OLED technology, 244 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
But we'll see again and again this thing of repetition of him 3 times. He actually had an issue of repeating everything a few times. We'll save that for later. Let's move on to another one. Let's see what's up next. Abdullah Samir, you love this one. The dung eating genies. This one is just bizarre. Like, this one time Prophet, he's trying to poop and he asks his buddy to bring him something to clean his private parts, but he says, don't bring any bones or animal dung. And eventually he brings that. And then the Prophet said, they are the food of the jinns. And then he goes on to explain this whole story. The delegate of the jinns of the city of Nasibin came to me, and how nice those jinns were, and asked me for the remains of the human food. I invoked Allah for them that they would never pass by a bone or animal dung but find food on them. What?
Teacher Saab, I have a question.
Yes.
What was jinns eating before Muhammad? That's what I would like to know. Jinns been around a long time, since the beginning of creation. Allah created humans, Allah created jinns. Muhammad gave jinns food, but before that, were jinns starving? Poor jinns, they need food too, like...
That's a very good, brother asked a very good question, because the jinns are made of a fire. Then, like, how do they digest? Do they put the food and it just burns up suddenly? Like, how does their digestive system work?
So scholars actually say that even though the jinns are made of fire, they're not fire, because Muhammad, he grabbed one of them and he was cool. He said he felt the coolness of the spit. And we're made out of clay, but we're not clay, so. So just because it's made out of fire doesn't mean they are fire. You see, you need to learn the proper Islamic theology.
Wait, so that explains why we have to pray before we enter the toilet, because when we take a shit, the genie's gonna come eat it. If you don't pray, it's gonna attack us.
It is a good question, though. So just to remind people, we are taking the piss, so to speak. We are joking around, and we're making fun. But why are we doing this? What is the point of making fun? The point is to make, Muslims or anyone that's a believer to reflect and think about, like, one of these things on their own sounds funny, but when you combine all of them together, you have a very dramatic effect, which is you start to realize that there is so much absurdity in the religion. Like, how is it that this could be from God? Like, do you truly believe this entire, like, circus of Islam, as Abdullah Gondal cleverly called it? Like, is it possible that this is from God? And, like, if someone showed you the same thing, but instead of Allah mentioned a different God, what was it? What's your favorite, the one that you wrote on Facebook?
Xenu?
Xenu. If Xenu was the one that had poop eating genies, would you laugh at the religion of Xenu, or would you say, damn, I can buy that. Yeah, poop eating genies. Okay. Poop and not just poop, they eat bones too, apparently, right? That is kind of what we're trying to get at. Would you agree with that? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and I would add, like, for example, if you notice in the Quran, whenever there's descriptions of things that were happening in front of Muhammad or things that he could directly witness, the descriptions the Quran gives are perfectly fine, and they match reality, what we see. But as soon as the Quran tries to speculate about things that are beyond the scope of the humans of that time, let's say, where does the sun go, or what orbits what, or cosmology or science, that's when it starts airing, right? So you also see, like, this idea that the Quran will always get the easily perceived things right, but anything that's hard to describe for the 7th century human, it almost always gets it wrong. And this tells us that it's very human in origin, and it gives us a lot of the knowledge that we expect from the day. Also, for the miracles.
That's a very good point. I never thought of saying it like that. The things which are easy to know, or I mean, even those, some of them are probably wrong, but you would expect the Quran to get it right. But the things that Quran shouldn't have known, it doesn't know, or it just gets it totally wrong. That's a
Like, for
very
example, if the Quran is describing, like, how the trees or the plants come out of the soil after rainfalls or some desert scene, they describes it perfectly fine. But let's say when it comes to what are shooting stars, they're chasing spy genies. You can see, like, where the Quran's, let's say, upper limit of knowledge is.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, I'm gonna add it back to screen.
All right, so we finished the genies that eat the dungs. Let's see. Cave boy passed out with dog for 300 years. So this is, like, from Surah Kahf, and this is one of the most weirdest chapters on its own, because the revelation story of this chapter is, like, Muhammad was asked these 3-4 questions by these Jews, I believe, or Ahlul Kitab, and he said, yeah, I'll give you the answer in a few days, and then 2-3 weeks passed, and then nobody gave
Yeah,
any
so what
answers.
happened was the Arab polytheists, apparently, according to the story, they wanted to trap Muhammad in a question they wasn't able to answer. So they asked the Jews for some information about because they were considered the learned people. And so they asked those people, like, what can we ask him that he wouldn't know? And of course, he didn't know the story of Dhul Qarnayn. He actually, like, he couldn't come up with it for many days, right? So they actually got him. And the funny thing is, to me, in this whole story, is the fact that they won. Like, this completely destroys Islam. This surah has so many mistakes in it, and the obvious plagiarism from, if, like, the pre-Islamic Arabs, like, we should thank them for asking Muhammad to answer this question. Because of this, he exposed himself so badly that the entire thing just fell apart,
Yeah, and the funniest thing is that the origins of this story, the Seven Sleepers of Piphias, or whatever they're called, they're actually regarded as a forged legend. Even according to Christianity, they know it's a false belief. Like, it's not real. The Seven Sleepers of Ephesus. It's yeah, and Muslims, well, at that time, Muhammad just kind of copied over and he just put it out with, and he didn't even give thought that, okay, even the Christians consider this forged. And I mean, it's quite a ridiculous story when you think about this. You go to this cave, and these guys go to sleep in a cave for 300 some years with their dog who's guarding the entrance of the cave. And it's just completely bizarre. So, and then there's a issue with like how many even were there. So some say there were 3, some say there's 4, 5th being their dog, 5, 6 being their dog, 7, 8th being their dog, and then Allah says, "I am the only one who knows. Nobody knows except a few. So do not argue about them, about their number."
So I want to talk about this for a second. This is interesting. I remember as a Muslim taking a class with Muhammad al-Sharif, and Muhammad al-Sharif, I think it was Muhammad al-Sharif. Anyways, he mentioned that this shows you how the Quran includes only the most important details. It doesn't include details that we don't need to know, such as how many were there.
Exactly.
This is actually a point in favor of the Quran, that the Quran doesn't mention how many people are in the story. And yeah, it's pretty interesting that they were actually asking him how many people were in the cave, and he, basically said, "My Lord knows how many were in the cave." Maybe this was one of the instances where he didn't want to get caught in his, in contradicting the other story. But of course, if he would have, he would have just said, "Yeah, that one's corrupted," which is basically the get out of jail card, right? Yasser Siraj says, "I say there were 15." Okay, there you go.
Oh, man.
Why don't you count the numbers then, stupid Allah?
That's funny.
No, Allah knows the number. He just doesn't want to tell us because it's irrelevant. It's relevant that these 7 people slept in a cave for 300 years. That's relevant. There was a dog. The dog turned over in his sleep. All of that's relevant, but the number is not relevant.
Oh boy. And like, if you read at the bottom here, let me just get the pointer out. It says that the 300 years were like the solar years, but then Allah mentions, just out of his generosity, 300 plus 9 for the lunar years. Like, yeah, okay, sure. What's funny is you were talking about Muhammad not trying to give away getting caught.
Yeah.
Amongst those 3 questions they asked him, one was about the soul. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. Like, asked him about the soul. That don't ask me about the soul. It's only your Lord's matter. He knows. Yeah. So he just like bailed on that question completely. But it's funny, man. Like, this story, when you read this whole chapter, like, I'm just thinking about it. The 300 caves. Then this Alexander guy comes in, goes to the east, finds this people burnt up by the sun. Then the west finds it setting in a pond, builds this metal cave wall to come, like, Gog and Mag. Oh my God!
It's like Avengers, eh? Like the last episode of Avengers.
All right, let's move on.
Thanos is basically Gog and Magog. He's gonna come back.
Oh boy, naked Moses.
Go back in time and fix this.
Naked Moses in a stone that steals clothes. Oh boy, this story kills me. This is in Surah Ahzab, this verse. And it talks about when Moses was accused. So there says, the prophet said the people of Bani Israel used to take baths naked altogether. So we know that people back in the day used to have these communal baths looking at each other. Romans, Greeks, pretty common. The prophet Moses used to take a bath alone. So the people started wondering, oh, why is he hiding? Right? Nothing prevents Moses from taking a bath with us, except that he has a scrotal hernia. So it was speculated that Moses is not taking baths with people in public because he has a scrotal hernia. So once Moses went out to take a bath and put his clothes over a stone. So this guy's taking a bath and just tosses his clothes over this rock that's on the side. The stone just ran away with his clothes. Like, what? So Moses is then just running after the stone saying, my clothes, oh stone, my clothes. Till the people of Bani Israel saw Moses running around naked, chasing this rock with his clothes. And then they realize, By Allah, Moses has got no scrotal hernia. His balls are all fine. We were wrong in assuming he had issues with his ball sack.
What
And then
what's that
Moses
called?
was
What's that called when you go out and you like expose yourself for what's
public
it
nudity.
like Allah's promoting like
Oh man.
people to see like it's weird. It's such a strange story that why didn't Allah just say that, like, okay, Moses, why does Moses need to prove to people that he doesn't have a thing on his balls? Like, why is that even important enough to embarrass him and humiliate him to be naked with this rock that's chasing around the towel or whatever?
I know, it just gets worse. And
Yeah.
when Moses catches the stone, he took his clothes and then he's like, "Oh, you bad stone, you bad stone." He started to beat the stone. And Abu Huraira is like, "Screw this, I'm gonna take it even further. There are still 6 or 7 marks present on the stone from the excessive beating." Like, oh, this. Was he beating it with a miswak?
Oh, there's an interesting comment here. Maybe doctors should start surgically removing evil from hearts. What if we do research into this fully understood discipline? Oh, this is the best comment ever. He beat it lightly. Chapter 4, verse 34. He beat them lightly. With the miswalk, that's where the miswalk comes from. It comes
Exactly.
from Moses, the sunnah of Moses, to beat the stone lightly with the miswalk.
Like, I'm just baffled. Like, who was writing when Bukhari wrote this? What the hell was he thinking, my guy? Like, think about it. I'm just writing a book and I'm gonna write about, yeah, Moses had an issue with his balls. Oh yeah, this one day the rock ran away with his clothes and then he chased it and then he beat the rock up and the people saw his balls were all fine.
Why
Does
don't
not it tell you the intellect or the level of the mentality of these Islamic scholars who write this book and who thought that this nonsense is worthy to be sanctified in the second most plausible, authentic book after the Quran? Think about this.
why don't the Muslims make cartoons of these things? These are amazing. Those kids' cartoons? It should be cartoons from Bukhari. Maybe we could start a GoFundMe and get money to make some cartoons for Muslim kids. Muslims can pay us.
Oh man.
We'll say it as seriously as possible, but we know the kids will be laughing, so it'll be money well spent. Oh,
Let's
yeah.
go to the next one.
Exhibitionism. That's what I was. That's the word I was looking for. Allah's an exhibitionist of Moses.
Here, look at my beautiful prophet with no defects in his body. I'll make him run naked in the streets to prove it.
Oh.
All right, we come to the infamous اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر, that the moon has split into two. The moon was split into two pieces while we were with the prophet in Mina, and he said, "Be witnesses." And a piece of the moon went towards the mountain. Now, another interesting bit is that we do see in some narrations in the Sirah of Ibn Kathir that this was actually just an eclipse of the moon, and not actually the splitting of the moon. And in fact, there are some calculations that do show that there was indeed a big eclipse of the moon that happened in Muhammad's time, which could have been mistaken like this. So that's that. Now let us move to the next slide. Okay, the crying tree stem loves Muhammad. This one's funny, where the prophet used to stand by a stem of a date palm tree delivering the sermon, and the pulpit was placed for him. We heard a tree stem crying like a pregnant she camel. Like, so there's this tree stump, and then it just starts screaming like a camel. Because and if you go in the other narration, they tell you that it was sad because Muhammad's pulpit was changed from the usual spot. They had a new pulpit made for him. So it was sad that Muhammad is going to be further away from me. So the tree was sad for that and started crying. Like some of the stuff that leaks into these books is just absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is pretty hilarious.
Mhm. All right. So let's move on to the next one. I think we should take us a call or two soon.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I forgot. I'll put the link again. This is proof that Islam brings joy.
This one is one of my favorite ones. The knockout eye, the boxing match he has with the Angel of Death. Like he pulls out a Muhammad Ali. So this is just mind-boggling. So the Angel of Death came to Moses and said, "Respond to the call of Allah." Moses, peace be upon him, gave him a blow at the eye of the Angel of Death and knocked it out. So Angel comes up, Moses like, "F you," boom, and he knocks the angel's eye out. So the angel is like, "Oh, my eye, oh no." So he runs back to Allah and says, "You sent me to your servant who does not like to die, and he knocked out my eye." So Allah restored his eye to its proper place. What the hell? So the angel has a physical eye that Moses firstly could punch, secondly could damage and knock it out, and the angel has to return to God to get it fixed. Like it makes no sense whatsoever.
It's crazy. Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
Right.
And then the other thing too is like the whole idea of even giving Moses, like he has a choice. Like he has a choice, he wants to die or not. I mean, what?
yeah. Like how does Moses get a choice to pick if he can die or not? Like what the hell?
Yeah.
It then says, "Go to my servant and say, do you want life?" So now Allah is talking to the angel and telling him, "Go ask Moses, does he want to live or die?"
After telling him to go and kill him.
Yeah.
Now he has a choice.
And then, and in case you want life, keep your hand on the body of the ox. So you have a cow, just put your hand on top of it, and you would live such number of years as the number of your like the hair your hand falls on. So for example, if your hair falls on like about 100 hairs or 200 hairs, you're gonna live that long.
It's like a lottery.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. Moses says, "What then? Then you would die." Whereupon Moses says, "Then why not now?" And then Allah caused me to die, blah blah blah. And then I don't even know what the hell this last part even mean. Had I been there, that place, I would have been shown his grave by the side of the path at the red mound.
It's interesting how there's a lot of these hadith where Muhammad adds this like hypothetical near the end. For example, like talking about how with Zamzam, he says, may Allah have mercy on Hajar because she started gathering up the water. If she wouldn't have done that, it would have been like this massive spring. But because she went and she like messed with it, now it's just like this little spring or something. And it's he adds these little like hypotheticals. If I was there, I would have seen it.
Well, the whole story of that the Zamzam is so messed up because Gabriel apparently comes in and then strikes his heel on the ground, and suddenly like the water erupts. This is so bizarre.
And like, what is this saying that Moses is buried in some like random place? I guess that's what it's saying, right? Because he wanted to be close to some sacred land or something, right?
Yeah.
It's just like such silly, irrelevant details.
Oh boy, our favorite one, the dipping the housefly. Oh, yeah. Prophet said, if a housefly falls in the drink of any one of you, he should dip it in the drink and take it out, for one of its wings has a disease and the other has the cure for the disease. Now this is just, don't follow this advice at all. Like bad advice. If a fly falls in your drink, throw the drink out, probably get a new drink. Muhammad had no clue how germs and how this works. Like, no, you don't dip fly wings. They carry way too much flies going all sorts of places. It's just contamination.
And just to make this a little bit more obvious, Muhammad sort of trapped himself here because, assuming he said it, this hadith is very clearly saying one wing has a disease and one has a cure. It just doesn't work like that. Like there's no means for like a disease to be on one wing and then a cure. Like because I know that there's Muslims now that are saying that fly wings and not house flies, maybe like dragonfly. There's a certain type of fly, I think dragonflies or something. They have antibiotic surface on the wings or something like that. There's some sort of like thing going on in science where there's some wings that are like, but that doesn't mean you eat it. You can't. That isn't like. You know what I mean, there's a surface. If a surface has some sort of like let's say I put rubbing alcohol on my surfaces, I'm not gonna eat that. Like if there's some sort of chemical on the wing of a fly that prevents the disease or whatever, that doesn't mean you swallow it or whatever. And even then, it wouldn't make sense if one of the wing would have it and the other one would. There's no way out of this. It's just, Islam just making flies famous again,
One of the other funnier things is that a lot of people confuse that there was a study where Muslims cited where the fly's wing did have the antibody, but they don't understand. This is very, very, very important. This happens with the camel urine hadith too, where Muslim scientists have done studies in camel urine and its effect on controlling cancer and whatnot. They have to realize that when they take a sample, they then isolate a compound within the urine, purify and extract it, and then use just that specific purified compound to test on it. So it's the equivalent of me saying that, let's say, okay, human blood has nutrition in it. Well, okay, if I'm taking out, let's say, some specific thing, but if you say, oh, eat human blood, no, or drink human blood, well, I'm going to cause people to have all sorts of bad diseases and whatnot, right? And like cross diseases and bloodborne diseases and whatnot. But the point is that isolating a compound and then using it is vastly different from taking a fly and then dunking it in the thing.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go.
Wait, hold on. Let me read this. This is awesome. Meanwhile, on the Dawah scene, the Prophet had such an understanding of history that he must have been genuine or secretly had the Library of Alexandria. It's so true.
Man, like his history class.
I killed my neighbor's dog by fly housing.
Oh my god. All right, let's go to the next one. Yeah. Halal genetics come harder. This is a very famous one where this Jew, Abdullah bin Salam, heard the news of Muhammad's arrival. And he was on a farm. And he said, I will ask you about 3 things which nobody knows, okay, unless he be a prophet. So firstly, how does Abdullah bin Salam himself know these things if he's not a prophet? What the hell? So he knows these things, but apparently only a prophet should know them. Firstly, what is the first portent of the hour? What is the first meal of the people of paradise, and what makes a baby look like it? So these 3 questions to find out if Muhammad's the real prophet or not.
It's a good, like you said, how is this falsifiable?
Exactly.
How would you? Okay, the first meal of the people of paradise is Chinese food. No, you're not a prophet. It's Indian food. How would anyone It's like when my kids ask me, "What's 451 times 732?" and I'm like 48,621, and they look at me like, "Wow." I'm like, There's no way you can check that anyway. So like you don't have a calculator, right? So.
Well, this is just something very funny that happens like when he asks, and what makes a baby look like its father or mother? So this is genetics, right? And the prophet suddenly says, Gabriel has now informed me about that. Abdullah said, Gabriel? The prophet said, yes. And then Abdullah said, he among the angels is the enemy of the Jews. Like, why do you have to tell this? The first thing Gabriel comes and tells you, hate the Jews.
Wow. And Abdullah bin Salam was a
Jew.
He was a Jew, right? Like, jeez.
He among the angels is the enemy of the Jews. And that the prophet recited the holy verse.
What? I thought Jews are the chosen people. Like Allah has blessed them and sent them so many prophets. And what's going on here? Oh, I know what this is. This is because there was somebody there was some I think somebody was saying that something bad about Gabriel or something, or Mikhail or something, and then this is why the list was coming down. There was some like bad stuff going between the different. They were like cussing each other's angels or something.
Cussing, angel cussing words.
I think so. I think that's what, if I
Oh,
remember correctly, that's
there's
because
this
that's
one
why
where
it's saying, he among the angels is the enemy of the Jews. What? Whoever's an angel, because the second part, whoever's an enemy to Gabriel. So that's the part I recognize. I don't remember the other part about enemy of the Jews. That's crazy. Oh my god.
it's just so funny. Like Gabriel comes up and like, I hate Jews, by the way. Just getting
I
out of the
know
way.
that's awful. I mean, and people wonder, this is straight up anti-Semitism. Like we just gonna
Oh
we
yeah.
gotta call it out right here. This is what it is. This
Yeah.
is anti-Semitism. Like this is clear anti-Semitism. This is not cool at all. But anyways, yeah, we're just going through the historical YouTube. If you're watching this, we are discussing historical references from Islamic sources. We are not saying this, we believe this. Oh, this is a good thing. Just making it clear.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move to like what the answers he gives Muhammad. So he says, as for the first portion of the hour, it will be a fire that will collect the people from the east to the west. So I guess it'll be like a ring of fire, kind of like PUBG or like Fortnite, where it closes, or like Warzone, and you have to run in the circle or you'll be eliminated.
Oh my god, Islam predicted Fortnite.
And as for the first meal of the people of paradise, it will be cod, a extra lobe of the fish liver.
What? Yeah, I don't know.
Fish liver.
It's kind
I
of
don't know why that's significant. It's got a lot of like good oil, like the omega oils. Omega 369 is good
Oh
for
my
the
god,
brain.
Islam predicted omega 3.
But this is what takes the cake.
But you don't need that in paradise. Right? He's not saying eat it now. He's saying we're gonna eat that in paradise. I guess you could.
This one, when I first found out, I mean, I studied biology and like that's what I've been studying. And like, I was like, how wrong could you get genetics? Like, guy asks, what makes a baby resemble either of the parents? And Muhammad says, if a man discharges before the woman, then the child resembles the father. And if the woman comes or discharges before the man, then the child resembles the mother. Like, this is not how it works. It doesn't matter who comes first. It's not going to make the child look like the mother or the father more. It's not how it works.
I mean, just to be explicit too, it's not like, unless Muhammad is talking about squirting, women don't like it's not like that. I mean, the fluid is there continuously. It's not like one fluid that comes out like with the man, right? So unless he was watching I don't know what he was watching back then. That stuff didn't exist.
But yeah, and then he goes on that suddenly, upon hearing this, Abdullah bin Salam, that guy, he suddenly accepts Islam all of a sudden. I'm like, what? So anyways, this is weird. Then the Jew said Abdullah is the worst of us, and then their own scholar becomes like the worst, most hated scholar.
Oh yeah, this reminds me of something. This reminds me of, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Cactus Boy. When he was Muslim, everybody was praising him, and as soon as he left Islam, oh no, he wasn't a real Muslim. This is predicted in the Hadith, the same thing.
Hilarious. I mean, okay, let's move to the next one. Oh, the most famous one. The sun sets in the pond. And this one has started so much controversy. So as we know, like Muhammad, when he reached the setting of the sun, he found it as a setting in a spring of dark mud, and he found near it a people. Allah said, "O Dhul-Qarnayn, either you punish them or else adopt them a way of goodness." So a lot of controversy surrounds this verse, and people might say like, well, it's like it's from his perspective. It's not like it actually went and set in the pond. So we have this hadith here on the side, which you can see. Narrated by Abu Dhar, I was sitting behind the Messenger of Allah who was riding a donkey while the sun was setting. He asked, "Do you know where this sets?" I replied, "Allah and His Apostle know best." He said, "It sets in a spring of warm water." Now, this is a Sahih in chain. Then another version of it occurs in Jamia Saghira Sahih as well. And I think Al-Ambani authenticated it. And if you want to go into more details, you can look at the Masked Arabs video. And there's also some tafsirs in the early Muslim scholarship where they actually did take it completely literally. Let me see if I can find that one out for you. Where they actually argue that no, it is in fact fully setting inside a pond. And then one of the scholars says that how can the earth not be flat? If it wasn't flat, the water wouldn't stay, it would fall out. Yeah, I made a whole thread about flat earth. Let me just get that. All right, I can't find it right now.
I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry. I was going to say this. So it was likely, I mean, it's very obvious that this is what Muhammad believes, but this is what is plausible, that Muhammad believed the earth was flat. There was edges of the earth. And what actually swung me over from thinking as a Muslim that this is one possible interpretation, but obviously the wrong one, to this is the likely interpretation and the wrong one, is the fact that when I looked into it, I realized that this is what the people of the time believed in this area, right? In Arabia. So the fact is that Muhammad probably thought that, most likely, and that's what it seems to say. I mean, what other conclusion are you going to come up with? Oh no, that's not what it means. It means what we think today, which is it's just the way you look at it, or that's just a figure of speech or a metaphor, or it's just an observation, or what. That part of that information that was added to me was what swung me over the edge to actually consider that no, this is not what I thought it was.
I don't know if you guys can see, I just opened up my Twitter. I made a long thread about this. So I found a lot of scholars. So when Muslims say that it's a well-known thing that almost all big scholars had agreed that it's ijma, that the earth is round, that's actually very far away from the truth. You'll see that I found all these books with the names, the dates of the scholars, when they lived, and the Arabic quotations and with the translation. So Abdul Qahir al-Baghdadi said that he called it bisatan, contrary to the allegations of the philosophers and astrologers who say that the earth is round and not flat. He believed the earth is flat. And then here we have Muhammad al-Andalusi al-Qahtani, 11th century scholar. He says, and the earth in the reckoning of the rightly guided is flat, and their evidence is the truthful and clear Quran. We have Al-Mawardi, and he who spread the earth, which means he spread it so that things may lie flat on it, which is a counter argument against those who claim that it is round like a ball.
So let me just interject for 1 second. So we're not, just to make it clear, we're not saying because so-and-so Abu Hayyam in whatever 12th century or 13th century said the earth is flat, therefore it must be that the Quran is saying the earth is flat. We are saying that look at all of these scholars, these knowledgeable people who know Arabic, who know the Quran, and this is what they believed. If that is the case, then what does that say about the Quran? Is it clear? And is it possible that this is actually what it's saying? Right? That's what we're saying. I mean, that's a stronger point than just saying, because if you just say that, oh, this because this so-and-so scholar said it, so it must be true. Well, you could just say the scholar is wrong. Okay, but then why are there so many scholars that believe this?
Exactly.
How is it possible that God's last and final revelation is so ambiguous that you could be so badly misinterpreted by the experts of that subject material?
And what's worse is these aren't like old scholars. Look at this scholar. He died in 1890. So he's like in the past 200 years, and he said the earth is flat from the Quran. You see Shawkani, he's very recent too, in the past 300 years. He says the earth is spread out, excellent, and that is a counter argument to those who claim it's like a ball. Like these are people
Shawkani is
live.
pretty famous,
Yeah,
like
and he's saying
well-known
in
scholar.
his Muhammad Yusuf al-Kafi, another. He died in 1969, and he's saying that the Quran indicates that it's not like round.
I mean, the scholars that are in the 1900s that are saying this are even more evidence that the Quran is wrong, because they're going against all of the science and knowledge available at the time, and they're still saying this,
Mm-hmm.
which shows you just how strongly they believe this. Like, we're not talking
Exactly.
like, and again, these are scholars. We're not just talking some random idiot on Facebook
Like
that
this
makes
guy,
a page. Hey, flat earther. Like, not those type of. These are scholars, man.
like
These
this
guys.
guy is 20th century. He died in the 1990s, and he said
I
the
mean,
Earth is flat.
pretty much, I think like any knowledgeable Muslim knows Shawkani. Like, we're not.
Mm-hmm.
These are not just like obscure names. I mean, some of them I don't know, but some of them are pretty mainstream names.
Mm-hmm. And this is the one I wanted to show you. Ibn al-Aqshid, presumably he's a 10th century scholar. His opinion was recorded about this verse, and it says, "This, of course, can only happen on a flat Earth." It does set it exactly as the Quran says. So this guy literally took what the Quran says as true. He said, "No, it actually sits in a pond," as we confirmed from the narrations earlier. Even Ibn Mujahid, huge scholar. Ibn Mujahid, the same guy, the seven ahruf guy, very famous. We've been talking about his name recently. He says the opinion that the earth is round is a false one. But believing that it's flat is the obvious meaning taken from the Book of Allah, which there is no falsehood.
Shahid is a huge scholar too.
Yep. He says if the earth were round, then the water would not lie still. Here we have Ibn Abbas trying to say that there's 7 layers of flat earths above each other. Here's Imam Jafar Sadiq, and they keep talking about the veil carrying the earth.
So Imam Jafar Sadiq is one of the Shia imams, and he's also considered a Sunni scholar as well, right?
Yeah. Jalaluddin as-Suyuti, huge scholar of the Quran, wrote the whole Itqan fil Ulum al-Quran, huge guy. Also wrote Tafsir al-Jalalain, in which he mentions that explicitly that he believes, and most people of the revealed law believe, that the earth is flat, not round. Ibn Atiyah, again, another guy who says 88:20 or something, that again it's flat. Abdullah al-Qurtubi again says flat. And they're actually arguing and giving verses countering that. And Juzay Fakhruddin al-Razi even said that it's, oh my God, okay, damn it. And we have the veil and whatnot. But this is what I wanted to show you as well. The hadith about the Taghrubu fi aynin hamiyah, the sun literally sets in a pond of warm water, has authentic and Sayyid Jami as-Saghir. So, kind of digressed a little bit there. Well, let's get back to the thing. But that was pretty cool, though, seeing how many scholars like just say it's explicitly just flat. Like, it's not a slam dunk case. Yeah, we know that there's a few like Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Hazm that said it, but you can't claim a consensus on this issue, because I showed you like 20 scholars kind of challenging that.
Yeah, this would make a great YouTube video. It's just showing that the greatest and the best minds couldn't figure out, or couldn't even agree on, what the Quran is saying about something as obvious as the shape of the earth. Something that people before Islam knew. Before Islam, they knew. They were coming up with information and knowledge about the shape of the earth. Yet Muhammad, in the backwaters of Arabia, obviously didn't know. So we would be amazed if he did know. We would be impressed to some extent. We would say at least he got that right. But even that he didn't get right. Even that's wrong. Oh yeah, you got your slides ready. Okay, let me just show you.
Marley, go away. My black Satan Dougie is here. The black genie. Okay, Marley, go.
Oh yeah, your dog is Marley.
Yeah.
My cat is Marlo.
Marlo and Marley.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, let's move on to the other slide. So continuing on from the nonsense about the flat Earth, the sun setting in the pond, we have a continuation from Sahih al-Bukhari. The sun prostrates under the throne of Allah every night. So we go on. The Prophet asked me, do you know where the sun goes? I replied, Allah and his Prophet know best. He said, it goes till it prostrates itself underneath the throne and then takes the permission to rise again. And it is permitted, and then a time will come when it will be about to prostrate itself, but its prostration will not be accepted. And it will ask permission to go on its course, but it will not be permitted. It will be ordered to return once it's come. And then it says, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍّ لَهَا. This is the tafsir of the verse, where it says that the sun literally goes underneath the throne of Allah, goes do sajda, and then ask Allah, can I rise again? And then Allah like, okay, go. And yeah, it's just it. And then in one other narration, I believe it says that in the day of Qiyamah will come and the whole west sun rising thing is going to happen. Allah will not allow it to rise and tell it to go rise from the place you set, and hence it'll rise from the west, and then it'll be the end of the world. But just shows you how little he knew about what is actually going on.
Yeah, I'm just going to highlight this comment. In ancient Greece, there were three philosophers and one that got as far as Earth orbiting the sun. So talking not geocentric, but heliocentric model. There was knowledge, being, and the funny thing is, if the people at that time in Arabia knew this, guaranteed the Quran would have been more clear about this. Guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
Only because they didn't. Now we have Muslim scholars to this day. And I mean, let's be honest, that the majority of modern scholars do not say the earth is flat. This is a very niche interpretation today. Today, you only find basically the extreme Salafis that say the Quran says there's a flat earth. And for obvious reasons. I mean, you have to really be blind to like the obvious. And there's so much evidence that the earth is not flat. I mean, it's a joke. It's even a joke to say the earth is flat. But despite that, these scholars said that. However, the point is that there should be nobody. If it wasn't for the fact that Muhammad thought this, nobody would say this today. Like nobody, no Muslim scholar would ever say that. They're only saying this because of the book. That's the only reason. The same way that you have these like really, I don't know, I guess the really extreme Christians that believe in a young earth. Like the only reason they're saying that is because of the Bible. There's no reason to think that whatsoever. So when you're in a situation where it's one plausible interpretation is so badly wrong, ask yourself, is this truly from God? Right?
Exactly. No, I totally agree.
And just to remind people, you can call in. We still have a bit of time left. If you'd like to call in, whether you're Muslim or atheist, ex-Muslim, Christian, whatever, feel free to call in and we can have a conversation with you. The link is below. I'll paste it again so you can copy paste it. And most welcome. Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's go to the next one. Hearing grave torture for taking the piss. So this one is very weird, and I just find this completely bizarre that the Prophet would be just walking in the graveyard, and then he would hear people being tortured, and then he would tell others that, oh, I hear them, you can't hear them, but you know what, want to know why they're being tortured? One of them, he had urine on his clothes. What's the big deal? Like, if you have urine drops and okay, why would God torture you if the piss is so impure? Well, it's inside your bladder. Like it's, like this ritualistic obsession with purity has a neurological link too. We call it scrupulosity, where people with certain kinds of issues like Muhammad who have epilepsy can develop OCD or certain tendencies where they obsess over minuscule things and ritualistic purities, obsessive washing and hygiene. Muhammad had all of this, and one of the issues here is like he keeps talking about urine, and other hadith he says that people go get tortured explicitly, that drops of urine.
Yet
Then one of
apparently you can drink camel urine according to the same book.
Exactly, yeah, that's so weird. Your human urine, if it falls on your clothes, it'll get you tortured in the grave. You can drink camel urine. But then another thing, remember, I think you posted this on Twitter, where if a baby boy
Oh,
pisses on top of you, you just sprinkle water on his pee. But if it's a baby girl, you have to wash it. Why is the difference, right? It's completely bizarre.
yeah, and like you make a very good point, which is this is coming out of the human body, and for men, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing, but like one of my Muslim friends taught me that like you're supposed to really shake it off, like you know that what I'm talking about, right?
They have books written on it, man. That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to like shake it out extra, shake it, do some extra shakes. And non-Muslims, they don't do that, but Muslim men, they have to like really make sure that all of it. Even one of my friends, it's embarrassing to even mention this now. He's like, you should jump, like I do a little jump when you're done, so that all of it comes out, because we want it.
I saw an Islamic scholar in Pakistan recently giving a khutbah, man, and he was telling you how to urinate properly, and he said that you can stand on like your heels and then go like calf extension, so you go up and down.
See, Islam makes you healthy. You do calf extensions after taking a piss.
It's bizarre. Like, there's books written on this, right? Like, and there's like people have written quite. I've read 2 books, man. I read 2 books just on miswak.
Did they include a chapter on 434? Appropriate uses of beating with the miswak.
Well, yeah, some things people write about your religion is like, well, it's not that deep, bro.
Yeah, and like the fact is, excuse me, that the male organ, like some pee comes out sometimes, like a little bit. Like it's not designed to be like, you know what I mean? The way it's like, that's just the way God made it, if you believe in God. So it's kind of weird, right? Like he's adding all these, like, it's kind of like when you sleep, you drool, right? At least most people drool when they sleep. Mm-hmm. That's like God saying, I will curse you if you drool on your clothes while you sleep. Like, what? Like, why would you do that? And even the whole thing about circumcision, you're supposed to, like, God gave you this thing that you're supposed to cut off. Like, what? Good, right? Like,
I remember last time we talked about this, where Abraham, an 80-year-old guy, took an axe and chopped his own penis off. That's the sunnah. That's the story.
Yeah.
Anyways, an interesting thing then happens is after Muhammad tells them, the urine is getting them tortured, he then takes a green leaf of a date palm tree, split it into 2 pieces, and then fixed one on each grave. So he just like, so I'll just take a leaf, rip it, and just put it on top of the graves. And then why have you done so? That people are like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, first you tell me you hear dead people being tortured, then you say they're being tortured for taking the piss, and then you're putting leaves on their graves to lessen their punishment till the leaf becomes dry. What the hell is this?
Oh, one more thing before we take the call. Mm-hmm. Sorry, finish what you're saying, and then I want to add one thing.
Is like, how does this make any sense? I hope that their punishment may be lessened till the leaf becomes dry. How does putting a leaf on top of a grave, on top of a person's grave who's being tortured for leaking urine, help his torture being lessened? Like, what's the thought process going on here? It's completely delusional.
That's a great point. Like, God designed men to be leaky, then he tortures them for not doing extra careful shaky. Then the leaf or the stick or whatever is supposed to undo. So Muhammad is undoing God's torture for his faulty design. Like, what? It's like a self-referencing stupidity circle.
Yeah.
Which, like, one more thing I just wanted to add, which was, you mentioned this before, but like, do you not see like this obvious obsession with torture and punishment? Like seeing in the mosque, seeing people being tortured, walking by graves, thinking people are tortured. Where is this coming from?
Exactly. Like, there's this whole thing where I'll talk about this, is the Quran is obsessed and pivoted at this thing of like psychotic, like sadistic torture where, chains, hooks, boiling oil, boiling water, thorny plants, everything, whatnot, and constantly threatening people with being roasted in hell. And then it doesn't end just, okay, torture in hell, okay, no. You get tortured in your grave too, man. Like it's getting a little enough for what? For piss. But anyways, it's just a weird thing that it also comes from a perspective of like his mental health and why this happens. But that we will discuss in our later stream. Let's
Okay.
take.
You want to take a caller? There's
Yeah, sure.
one dawa is on the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hi.
Ahlan. Ahlan. Hey, how's it going?
My question is actually to both of you.
By the way, are you the one dawa that's on Twitter?
Yes, that's me.
Okay,
Hey,
so
how's it
you're
going? Salam, man.
So my question is actually, why are you guys not open for debates? Like,
oh my god.
issued, like, for example, Gondor, I arranged like a debate with you, but you suddenly blocked me, and the same thing goes for Abdullah Samir.
Yeah.
Like, are you guys afraid of debates of what is it exactly?
I'll take this question. I thought you'd actually have an actual question regarding the content, but
no, it is actually because it is like in regards to
I'll answer your question.
Debate, like so I'm trying to be like civil as possible.
Okay. I'll answer your question. The reason why I don't want to talk to you specifically is because you're obnoxious, and I don't like the way you engage and the way you attack.
What do you mean? Can you tell me what you mean with
if you really want, I can. Okay, so just to be clear, everyone has the right to decide who they want to talk to and who they want to engage with. Fareed blocked me. Ali Dawa blocked me. Okay?
Sure, but I'm not Ali Dawa.
Right. Okay, so hold on.
I give you a chance.
Let me finish. You asked me a question. Let me answer the question. Okay. Everyone has the right to decide who they want to spend their time talking to. And I don't really care to talk to you. I just don't. I don't remember why now. You're not important enough that I really. Hold on a second. Right? Please let me finish my answer. Then I will let you talk again. I just muted you now. I don't want to talk to you. I don't remember why I blocked you now. I can go back and find the tweet if you want, if you really want to know. But the point is, if you have a question today, I'm happy to answer your question. I'm happy to engage with you on the content that we're discussing right now. Why don't you want to debate me? I just not interested in having Twitter debates with random people. Sometimes I'm interested, sometimes I'm not. You in particular, there's a specific reason why I blocked you. I don't remember now what it was. But that doesn't matter because I have the right to say no if I don't want to. Now, if you have an actual topic question, we'll be happy to discuss that with you. Now, Abdul Gondal, do you want to answer him before I unmute him?
Yeah, just to tell him that he says that we're scared of debates. That's totally wrong. We both have talked to people way above his pay grade and his qualifications. In fact, I've had a long discussion with a PhD from, I think it was Columbia University, Dr. Hassan Azad in Islamic Studies. I've talked to Mufti Abu Layth as well. I've talked to the director of Ask a Muslim in Canada, Omar Abdul Fattah. We actually talked to a very learned anonymous Muslim as well, named Shaheen Ahmed.
Please let him finish, and then you can talk.
Yeah, so the point is that we're not scared of debates. In fact, we love engaging with people. It's just that not every person online is worthy of engaging with, nor everybody should be given a platform because, like sometimes the arguments just are repeated on and on over and over again. Again, I've talked to people like I said, way above you, actual PhDs in Islam.
Okay, so then it would be easy, right?
Okay, one second. So you were asking me why I don't engage with people like you.
There you go.
Look at this shit. Like, should I engage with someone like you who does stuff like this? Give me a goddamn break, man. Like, I let you on the stream despite knowing that you're the same guy that I blocked. And this is not the only one. There's other pathetic tweets from
Abdullah
you.
Samir, listen, you compared Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with George Floyd. Remember, you said can't breathe. Like,
okay. Listen.
Seriously, stop being hypocritical.
Okay. Bye. Listen, I don't want to talk to you because you don't know how to engage. Okay. That's simple. If you have something related to the content that we're talking about, then I'm happy to engage with you. If you're going to bring up why don't you want to debate me, then who are you? Like, who are you anyways? You're just some random dude. Like, I don't have to talk to you if I don't want to. If you have something to discuss, then I'm happy to discuss. That's simple. Do you want to add anything, Gondal? Or?
I mean, like I said, he just came here to vent about he's mad that why we didn't talk to him and we talked to other people instead of him. And that's pretty clear to me. And like you said, like he said that you weren't a Muslim to begin with. I don't know if I think him and his buddies have at times floated the idea that I was a Qadiani, I wasn't a Muslim, true Muslim, Ahmadi. Some say I was Shia. Like there have been issues like this, right? So, like I said, it's not that we're scared because we've debated people way above his pay grade, way more qualified than him. We've engaged them in formal and informal, casual
Here's your
formats too.
chance. Here's your chance to
Exactly.
debate us. And what
And
do?
he's
Why
ranting.
don't you debate me? Why are you running up? Okay, there's 153 people here watching, and instead of actually debating, what do? You're freaking grandstanding. Like, oh my god, the level of like these people are like, seriously, oh my god, it's so annoying. Okay, Ali, I can't add you to the stream because your microphone or camera is not connected. But yeah, like one dawa, if you actually have content, like actual topic to discuss, we can talk to you. I'm happy to talk to you. If you're just gonna grandstand, then no, I'm not interested. Okay. Okay, but Ali's here now. Hey, Ali, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, first, I would like to say that I enjoyed your content, and I'm actually a recent ex-Muslim.
Nice.
Welcome to the fold of ex-Islam.
Thank you. I have like two questions, but they're not related to the topic. One was, how do I like separate myself from the morals of this religion? For example, I've been raised as a Muslim, so like when I go to a restaurant or when I go somewhere, I have this urge to ask if it's halal or where did this chicken or meat come from, even though I don't believe in halal or something. It's just ingrained in me. So how can I stop these, you could say, Islamic morals from like, or how can I separate myself from these morals? And the second thing is like from when I was a child, the concept of hell and torture and all of that just got the better of me. And sometimes I like think like if I'm wrong, I'm like risking this thing. So how can I deal with the concept of hell? I know you've talked about it, but just like more tips. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for calling in for the questions. So first thing you asked was how to separate yourself from Islamic morality. Again, I understand you because like I grew up for like 20 some years of my life and some years while living this, viewing the world from a specific moral standpoint, moral viewpoint, right? So like, for example, you feeling like, aversion towards pork or non-halal things for a little bit, it's normal because, like I said, there's, your brain is used to it. You have habits developed. These are ingrained in you over time is what the whole point of indoctrination is. So to how you'll get rid of these is obviously with time and desensitization, like the more time you spend outside full of Islam, and slowly you'll get more used to these things and you'll hang out with people. Again, it's going to take time because like you said, it gets ingrained and it becomes habit, right? Secondly, for hell and torture, like it's unfortunate to say, but hell and torture is very, very dark. It can affect people in ways they don't even understand. It can, the whole idea of using fear and torture is to coerce you or scare you into obedience, right? And again, you have to keep reminding yourself that this isn't real. But for me, I remember my grandfather telling me that even when I was a Muslim, don't fixate on the descriptions of hell or you will go crazy. And in my continuing research, I have found that Muhammad has a predisposition to very extreme, violent pictures or ideas. hell and whatnot, and we will go through their neurological occurrence with other examples of other people suffering from the same illness, and then how they view. There's a deepening of emotional or an intensifying of emotions that happens, but yeah, man, hell can take a while to get over. At the same time, you have to realize that even though it's a scary concept in its entirety, it's not real at all. It evolved much later. Even it didn't exist in Judaism in that sense. The way we see it in Islam is more of like an evolve. Maybe read on the history of hell, or read a concept of afterlife that is very different from the Islamic concept, just to counteract and give your brain newer ideas to process this in different ways. That'll be all for me for that question.
Yeah, so I'll just add a little bit. You don't have to like get rid of your Islamic morality, so to speak. I've had this question from other people as well. Just go with, you know, unless you want there's specific things in Islam that bother you and you don't want to do that anymore. For example, you know, for some people it's eating pork, but you don't have to eat pork. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, no one's gonna force you to do that. So if you have some sort of like, you know, you don't like it, that's fine. If you're used to, you know, certain things, if there's certain good things from Islam that you have, keep doing them. Like, you don't have to stop doing them just because it's Islamic, right? And I know that's not what you mean, but just in case, just keep that in mind. Just go with the flow, take your time, and things will change. You know, it just takes time, literally. Like, give it time, and after some time, you'll find that you'll feel comfortable with, you know, some of the things that you weren't comfortable with. Maybe, you know, for example, if it's, you know, interacting with the opposite sex, you were never used to that. You were always kept away from, you know, talking to women, for example. But you can get comfortable. You can learn how to make friends. You can learn how to make more non-Muslim friends, stuff like that. So yeah, just give it time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I have a third question if you don't have a problem. It's about death and that. Like, now I know certainly, or to like, I believe that there's no afterlife. Like, when I die, it's just the end. It's the absolute end. And like, it's kind of depressing. And sometimes, like, I think to myself, like, you know, Islam maybe is like ridiculous and bad and all that, but at least kind of gave me some hope, because the concept of death and coping with death, and like, I'm going to end, like, I'm not going to go somewhere. It's just the end. This is my only chance at life. So what's your thoughts on the concept of death and the concept of, like, basically this is the only chance you have, basically?
So one of the ways I view it as I ask them, think about the billions of years you were not alive and the universe existed without you and there was no issues, and did it bother you? So I ask them to think like this, and then think about this. Well, it would be the same. You will return to the same condition you were before you were born, i.e. not existing in a sense. Secondly, I do also find like death as in a certain way comforting, because you also realize that, okay, there is only limited joy and limited suffering. Not everybody has to suffer forever, you know, and that's how I feel about it. For me, for purpose and hope, again, I feel like as time goes on with me personally, you see the world and life in a much more different, fuller perspective. And I feel like it's more than just having the will to live on. Rather, sometimes it can be beautiful that you have a limited amount of time and you can make the most of it, right? So I don't know. It's a deeper discussion. I mean, there's a good book written on consciousness by Sam Harris's wife, if you want to read it. It's a very thin little book. She talks about it briefly as well. But yeah, I mean, you can always adopt other like spiritual ideas, like let's say get into meditation. That really helps. But yeah, that would be my advice. If you have anything else, let me know.
Yeah, I would just say, like, what you said is so true, and there is a certain beauty in, you know, in a way, when I stopped believing in the hereafter, in a kind of shocking way, I suddenly felt that life is more precious. It's kind of bizarre. Like you don't expect that conclusion, but in a way, you suddenly realize, oh shit, this sunrise is so fucking beautiful because there's only so many more sunrises I'm gonna have. It's not like life is gonna go on forever and ever and hereafter. So you actually tend to appreciate every moment a lot more. It's all the way you look at things, you know. And I think Abdullah Gondal, he just nailed it. I don't think there's much to add to it, but I might make an unorthodox recommendation, which is try shrooms. You might find it to, depending on your mental state and if you're okay with that, and you're not gonna make sure the setting is good for you. You might find it resets your brain in a way that makes things more.
What did you say? What is that?
Shrooms, mushrooms, psilocybin.
Again, we're not trying to encourage like drug use and something. We're just giving perspectives that some people and some researchers have for depression and whatnot. Yeah,
you have to obviously, look at your mental state and whether you're prone to any sort of, instability of your mind. But if not, there's a lot of evidence that shows that psilocybin can have a very positive effect on your well-being, especially if you're having depression or anything like that. Obviously, there's no medical grade psilocybin you can get in America just yet, or Canada, or most of the world. In Netherlands, it's legal, so you can actually buy it and try it. But I have myself tried it once, and it was quite a positive experience. So that's something I can recommend. Maybe you can try one day, and you might have just make sure that you're in a safe place, that your surroundings, you feel comfortable, that you know what you're doing, and you're getting, you're not like, anyways, look into it. That's all I'm going to say. That's one thing you can possibly look into. And for me, it was quite a positive experience. So most people, it's when they do a survey on the experience taking shrooms or LSD, I haven't tried LSD, they rate it as one of the most meaningful experiences of their life. It's a very powerful, it can be a very, very powerful experience. So it's something you can try. Just throwing it out there. And thanks for your call. We have other people waiting, so I have to let you go.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thanks for calling, man.
Take care. Bye. Hey, Jalal, how's it going?
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, brother. I'm literally I'll give me 10 minutes. I'll be right back if that's okay.
Sounds good. I'll take someone else. Foji, hey.
Foji soldier. Foji cereal.
yeah. Ex Foji. Yes, that is correct.
How's it going?
Ex Foji serial, long time sufferer of this cult called Islam from Pakistan, and long time atheist. Probably teenish kind of thing when it all kicked in. So brief. I'll try and keep it brief and simple. I heard something like a week back, and it just reaffirmed what I've believed all my life. I'm probably double the age of you guys. If there is an omnipotent God, all powerful God, especially in our case from Pakistan, I think Samir is also from Pakistan, right? Like the roots. Oh, you're not. Okay. India, probably.
Yeah, India. Yeah, because I only probably because I was in. So my great grandparents immigrated from India to Kenya, from the Gujarat.
Okay. Right. Okay. Now I get the lineage, the historical background. Okay. So, anyways, so if there is an omnipotent God, all powerful Allah, for that matter, can He create a rock that He Himself cannot lift? I see Gondal smiling. He knows where this is going.
Exactly. Do you want me to answer or give my thoughts on that question?
Yes.
So
yes.
It's kind of a logical loophole. So if God is all powerful, He should be able to do everything and anything. But then can He create a rock that He can't lift? Which a lot of theists would tell you that the question itself or the demand itself is logically inconsistent, because then that would violate God's own omnipotence, where he could not lift the rock, therefore he isn't all powerful. But then other people say that this whole question demonstrates that all powerful or these maximally great traits just cannot exist in reality, because there's what entails from these maximally perfection of these traits, like all powerful, all knowing, is they're inherently contradictory and illogical in the way they're made, where a being with these kind of traits cannot exist in any logical substantiated way. When this again is like justice and mercy comes in, torture and love comes in, they'll always conflict, because these traits are in fact an amalgamation of our human experiences, which we are projecting onto God, right? So it's like if God can create a stone that he cannot lift, well, then that says that he's not omnipotent. But then if he can't create the stone that he can't lift, then he's again not omnipotent. So this is the whole premise of the question, right? And then the theist would say, oh, well, the whole point is God's omnipotent, therefore he can never violate his own omnipotence. But what's fundamental here is you're holding something else more at the core of God. You know, like God is bound by logic almost, but then logic is also his creation. You understand what ends up happening? Where we say that God cannot create a rock that he cannot lift because it is illogical, because it will violate his own logic. But then we don't realize that, wait a second, God is the one who created logic in the first place. So these kind of questions, they end up going circle back. But the best thing they demonstrate is that a being with these kind of traits cannot exist. And the problem is that we have this picture of a being like this existing because of our limited perception of our emotions, right? And we don't understand even the subjectivity and the cascades of different emotional layering. Like, for example, God loves you. Well, then what is love? You know, like love is in essence where you value somebody's contribution to your life or helping you survive in a way, or there's so many different ways. So what kind of love and whatnot. But yeah, that's like, it's a kind of a similar question where if God knows everything, like he's omniscient, then what's the point of testing us, right? What's the point of doing anything at all if he knows everything that's going to happen? If, for example, if God knows everything that's going to happen, then why does he blame Satan for going astray when God already knew that he put it in? In fact, there's a hadith where it said that Moses and what was it, Abraham were arguing, or no, Adam were arguing, and Adam says, don't blame me for sinning and eating the fruit or whatever. God had written that in my decree, right? So it creates like a tautology where you're chasing the tail. That's my few thoughts on the question.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I always saw it as a silly question because I always considered logic to be not something God created, but logic to be something outside of God's creation, meaning like, but some theists again would say that God is a paradox that you can't understand, just like the Trinity. I kind of like relating it to the Trinity and saying, well, why is Muslims love to say the Trinity is illogical, but then why is it illogical? Why can't God come down as a man? I think that's a better question. I think that's a better, not can God create a rock you can't lift. Why can't God come down as a man? He could. Yeah. If he's God, he could come down as a man. You can't say God can't come down as a man because it will make him less than God. No, it wouldn't. He can do whatever he wants, right? So that I think is a better question, because then that exposes Muslims to thinking about whether, you know, they're just outright, you know, oh, why does it have to be one God and not multiple? That doesn't have to be one God. It doesn't have to be necessarily. We're just making up words and things here. So yeah, that's all I have. I don't have much to say on this, to be honest. Thank you for your call, Foji. We do have other
anything.
I have a follow-up if you
okay, if you can make it quick.
Yeah. Same thing. I think Gondal was going in the right direction, but they kind of veered off in a different tangent at the end. So can I, for argument's sake, can I say that my thought process is better than Allah's process? Because nowhere Allah says, you know, that, you know, 1400 or 1200 years down the road, some So moron would wake up one day and say, and come up with this statement that is, if there is an omnipotent God, Allah, and can he create a rock that he himself cannot lift? He would have been able to see in the future. He would have been able to say somewhere in the magical book of Quran that here's the answer. And I don't find that anywhere. What I'm trying to say is that, can I quantify this to say that my thought process is better than Allah's thought process? Your mic.
I don't think that, to be honest, these are the best arguments against Islam or God in general, because so what you just said about, smarter than God kind of idea, it does kind of make sense what you're saying, because a lot of the theology of Islam and Christianity came up after, over the hundreds and hundreds of years after Islam. You have, Ghazali and these people who responded to philosophy, and they basically built on the theology and the aqidah that was very primitive, because you have, when you have certain very basic aqidah that just very illogical, for example, God coming down to lowest heaven, if you take it literally, it leads to all sorts of irrational contradictions. For example, if God's coming down, then shouldn't he always be down? Because the sun, night, it's always night somewhere in the world. So the hadith that says he comes down, well, he can't really come down, he has to be down. So then you had the aqid, you had a Shari thought that said you can't take this literally. This is just, God's coming down with his, he's not actually coming down. God doesn't move. He doesn't have a body. He's not located in time and space. So a lot of this theology was built up over the years after Islam, after Islam's prophet just made dumb statements, in my opinion. So I guess you could say in a different way, yeah, that we are solving the holes in the religion. Like human beings are patching the holes everywhere they find them. But I don't think it's really fair to say that, I had this specific question and God didn't answer my specific question, so therefore Islam is false. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of silly to say that, and I don't think that's a good argument. But if you say it a different way, like there are problems in the theology and we humans had to fix them, then I would agree with you.
Okay, good stuff. Carry on, guys. Talk later. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thanks for calling in, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Jalal, hey.
Hey, Jalal.
Hello.
Hello, what's up, man?
Hi, guys. How you doing? You okay?
Good, good.
Okay. I just had one quick question, if that's okay, if you could answer.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was a while back. I tried contacting Samir on Twitter, but I believe I couldn't get through to him for some reason. So, I just thought I'd ask on this live. Now, from what I've seen, a lot of the ex-Muslims that do leave end up leaving based off of their personal and their cultural experiences. But I have seen a minority that do leave based off, if they do find scientific errors, or if they do find, how do I say it? If they do find things that don't make sense within the theology of Islam, I do respect that if you leave on that basis. But essentially, the question I did have for you guys is, I'm assuming you're both atheists, if I'm right.
Yeah. Are you Muslim?
I am, yeah. I am Muslim. I've studied engineering, but one thing that did spark my attention was that for the first time in my life, I did come across an ex-Muslim in person, and I did have an interesting discussion. And because I've never ever seen people that just leave Islam and openly talk about it. Usually, from what I have seen, a lot of Muslims that do leave, they just leave and they don't really make much of a, too much of a fuss about it. But one thing I did have a question is, with regards to the finely tuned aspects of the universe, like, because I've studied engineering, I believe that only if you have a thorough understanding of these things can you actually appreciate the miracle in them. For example, the idea that gravity, if it was 0.00x stronger, life would not exist, because from an evolutionary point of view, nothing would exist because everything would collapse on itself. And if it was 0.00 weaker, the perfect chemical reactions wouldn't occur for evolution to occur. Now, just there's the other things that I've read. For example, they say that the chances of the universe being created is something like if you roll the dice 60 million times and it landed on 6 repeatedly. And I'd say to you guys, what is your take on the finely tuned aspects of the universe from an atheist. I'm not too sure what your particular belief is. I know you guys are atheists, you said, but do you believe in Darwinism, or other types of evolution? I'm not too sure, but the question I do have is, do you guys just throw away these finely tuned aspects of the universe? Because for me, it's easier to comprehend if I attribute this idea to God or something that is more powerful. I see you on the
Okay.
laughing. I say,
I just want to ask one question. Is
Okay.
God more complex than the universe?
You see, I would say that that depends, because our understanding of the universe and physics, that has been shaped by what we know, and the laws of physics are to our understanding. But I would say that because God, of my understanding, is out of the physical capabilities of what we can understand, and he is out of the laws of physics. If you try and get what I'm trying to say.
I understand, but what I'm trying to ask is God, okay, let's say Allahu Akbar. Is God
Okay.
greater than the universe?
Yes, I would say yes.
Is God with his traits, like he can hear and listen and know everything? Is he the most maximally, let's say, the most complex being out there to you?
Yes, definitely.
How can the most complex being and the most complex thing in the universe exist without an explanation, but the universe, which is less complex than God, exists with? You understand what I'm trying to say?
I can get what I do see what you're saying, but
Mhm.
but
It's
uh, the idea of the finely tuned aspect. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just say, for the sake of understanding, God doesn't exist, just for the sake of understanding.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is, how do you guys personally take on this idea of the finely tuned aspects of the universe? They say that if you were to roll a dice 60 million times and it landed on 6, that's the same chances of everything that's occurred to this day, how that would have occurred. Now, to me, that just sounds so incredible. Or if gravity was 0.00x stronger or weaker,
Yeah.
the chemical reactions wouldn't have occurred for evolution to occur. Or
Yeah.
so many other things that I've just read. And to me, atheism, just that idea of atheism, I can understand some aspects of it, but just that idea. Do you guys just throw out the finely tuned aspects, or do you just?
So I'm trying to tackle it in a way where I'm asking you, does complexity necessitate intelligence?
I'd say it depends.
Okay, so what I'm trying to show you is you're arguing that a being that is way more complex than the universe exists without a cause, but the universe can't exist with a cause that is not as complex as God, right? So what I'm trying to get to here is, and then you bring up the idea of eternity. Think about eternity like rolling a dice, but eternity necessitates that all combinations, no matter how least probable they are, will eventually come to pass. So if our universe existing, let's say, is 1 into the whatever power, if time is eternal, eternity necessitates that anything and every combination with, if time passes that way, will come to pass, right? That's one thing I see, that eternity can then also cause you to think that, okay, every possible configuration of matter, no matter how long it will take, or no matter how little the chance it will have, because if eternity exists, it will happen. There's one thing like that. Secondly, the other thing I find is fine-tuning the argument itself. It cherry picks on the things that appear designed to us, but negates things that don't appear as designed to us, right? Rationality Rules is a very good video on it as well. But he goes in the same argument. The watchmaker analogy, right? Where if you're walking in a forest and you pick up a rock, and if you find a watch, which one of you are you going to think is designed versus not designed?
Of course,
right?
the watch. Yeah.
The watch, right? But then you have to understand that the rock itself is also part of the same universe. It's just that it doesn't appear to them, but you're cherry picking on just the design things and leaving out the things that don't appear to you as design. And when you actually think about your perception of design, then comes out from how things emerge around you and your reality. So there's a lot of things. Then also another thing is life existing is a standard or not. Like, well, okay, if life didn't exist, if it has 1,000,000,001 chance, yeah, life wouldn't exist. The universe would still exist like it existed before life existed on Earth, right? And is life existing on Earth is it necessary to give meaning to the universe? Or would it cause any changes if, for example, Earth didn't exist, but the universe still exists, right? So we somehow then realize that we're attaching irrelevant importance to certain aspects because we're viewing it from a lens of design. Again, like one could go on to more, I already talked about eternity and chance, probabilities. We talked about the complexity. I think you mentioned that the first was ex-Muslims leave due to personal reasons. Was it one
Yeah.
of those things? Yeah.
No, that wasn't really a point. I was just trying
Okay.
to give an
Just
quick
playing some
introduction.
But I'll
Yeah.
give you another example to quickly summarize my thoughts. Think about God having the ability to feel love, hear your voice when you pray to him,
Okay.
and whatnot, right? So what ends up happening is God can hear you, can talk to you. Sorry, just got to get this point back.
Mhm.
I can also
How
add
do you?
something when you're done.
Yeah,
Just
okay,
wanna-
you can add something. I just got to reformulate this one.
So, yeah, the whole thing about emotional reasons, I think we've talked about that a bit. Just want to quickly address that. I think everyone does things for emotional reasons, whether it's Muslims or ex-Muslims. The fact is, we should try to be as rational as possible while also listening to what our emotions are telling us. Our emotions are there for a reason. And sometimes our emotions will actually misguide us, and sometimes they will guide us in the right way. Sometimes people are not good at explaining themselves, and it may come across as an emotional reason, but really inside that emotional reason, there is some logic there. The question is whether that logic is true or false. Someone can, for example, leave Christianity for emotional reasons because they feel, even they can leave Christianity and become Muslim because they want to marry a Muslim man, and then they find, for example, after leaving Christianity, that Islam is true and they start to connect to it or whatever. That doesn't mean that the reason they did it might be wrong, but the question is, what are the real reasons for believing or not believing in a religion, not why they did it. So of course you'll find all sorts of different people out there, and most people don't talk about leaving Islam because, well, there's consequences. You can become canceled. Like many people that I know that want to be public ex-Muslims, even people that are budding public ex-Muslim figures, for example, Aladdin and Aisha Muhammad. Look at the backlash Aisha Muhammad got. Infidel Noodle. She's been getting, there's a campaign to expose her, to get her like you do this at your own risk. If you're a white man like Sam Harris and you try to you're a white man and you try to talk about Islam, it's even worse. If you're a brown man, okay, you might get away with it, but if you're a white man, it's even worse. You're just gonna be like absolutely canceled, like completely canceled. Like it's gross and racist to talk about Islam, like as you as you remember from that little clip where Sam has. But anyways, that's not your main question. I just wanted to quickly address that. Your main question was about fine-tuning, and I just want to share my screen for 1 second. First of all, I would recommend you to check out Matt Dillahunty, The Atheist Experience. They tackle these questions really well. But I'm just going to share my screen. This is a wonderful book that I read after leaving Islam, which is called Atheism Explained from Folly to Philosophy by David Ramsey Steele. He has a whole chapter on this whole fine-tuning argument, and it's beautifully explained. Did someone set the dial? And he goes through point by point by point. The anthropic coincidences. We don't know that a universe is improbable. Like when we say the chance, the reality is the chance might have been 100%. You can't say the chance is 0.0000. We don't know. We don't have the conditions where we can say that it has to be exactly this. And there may be many universes. There may be every single possible universe that can exist, might exist. And if that's the case, then we can't say that it's like it's unlikely because, well, there's a universe with every condition, right? We don't know that. right? There may be natural selection of universe. This is a beautiful point, that through the quantum foam, we know that universes can pop in and out of existence. It could be that the universes with the right conditions are naturally selected to survive, and they continue existing because, like you said, if the weak nuclear, well, you didn't say, but if the weak nuclear force was a little bit more, or the strong nuclear force was a little bit more, the universe would have collapsed. Well, there you go. The ones that collapsed, they probably did collapse if there were multiple universes. We don't know. Like, this question is basically begging the question. We can't, like, when theists try to say the universe is improbable and it's, perfectly coincides, it's in a way the puddle issue. There's a hole in the ground and the puddle, and it rains. The puddle says, look, this hole was made for me. But actually, no, the hole wasn't made for the puddle. The puddle exists because of the hole. You know what I'm saying? The same way that we could say, wow, this planet is just right in the perfect position.
Think of it.
I get you.
Every planet is a roll of a dice, and it might have life or not on it. So when we think about it that way, you have, let's say, billions and billions and billions of failed attempts at life, but you have one real one. Now, that's not a sign of fine-tuning. For example, some theists say that, universe is fine-tuned for life. No, it looks more fine-tuned to create black holes and dead planets than lively planets, right? So, against what's important is your point of reference, where why do you perceive human life to be fundamental? If the Earth didn't exist, the universe would keep existing. It did, and it does, Now, another thing I wanted to come back to is, this is a question I want to ask you. Does God have a mind?
Does God have a mind? I would say he has consciousness, but a mind in what terms of in what aspects are you asking when he has a mind?
So you said God is conscious, but what
Definitely.
predicates what is necessary for consciousness to exist?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask you, rephrase the question. Can software run without hardware?
No, but I
It's a good question, because God is basically a disembodied mind that's making decisions. I'm talking about theism, especially Islam. God is going into his creation. He's involving himself. He's making decisions. He's basically revealing things to human. He is a mind. What else would you describe God? Because we're not talking about Hinduism. God is Atman. God is this force. We're talking about Islam, where God is like a sky daddy. Like, would you not agree that God is a mind? And what else would God? You can't if God isn't the mind, then how is he interacting with human beings? How is he? Do you understand what we're saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, but I would say that's to our definition of what a mind is.
Yeah, but then that's, again, you're also taking a huge leap of faith where you don't have any evidence of any minds existing without hardware, but you're trying to that God's mind exists without hardware, right?
I think, Jalal, I think that believing in God is okay, and it is, let's say, possible, depending on what you mean by God. If you're telling me God is a power or force that pervades the universe without consciousness, then I might even agree with you that that's God. But if you're saying God is a man in the sky, I know Muslims don't say man in the sky, but he is like a man in the sky. The Islamic God is a man that revealed, and someone mentioned this in the comments, that he decided to reveal that you can marry your adopted son's ex-wife. Like, when you get into the details, it all falls apart. But if you're just talking about God in general, then God, this originator of the universe, well, I can possibly believe that there's a possibility that there's a God. But when you talk about a God that goes and involves himself in the matter of humans and created angels and jinns and talked to humans in a cave, then it starts to all fall apart, and really does. So that's why I tend to really go back to the details of religion rather than focusing on whether God existed or God didn't exist. Atzis said the most complex being allowed Muhammad to marry his adopted son's ex-wife. This is very complex, man. It's true. Like, when you look at the details, it becomes a joke. This is God. Like, this is the creator of the serious, the binary stars of the cell, the living. You believe that this same God is revealing to Muhammad that he can marry his adopted son's ex-wife because that's important for humanity. It doesn't make sense. You're talking about two different beings here. the originator of the Quran, the originator of the universe and the Quran cannot be the same person. And but I do think there is good philosophical responses. If you just look at atheist channels like Matt Dillahunty,
Mhm.
he totally destroys anyone that calls in and brings up this point. But or just check out the book. But if you have anything else we can talk about, feel free. But otherwise, we're gonna get back to. We have like I think only 15 minutes left now. So
I did have one quick final question, if you don't mind.
sure.
I was just going to ask. So essentially, I did tell you about how I spoke to one ex-Muslim on my engineering course, and
Mhm.
one thing that he did say to me is that one thing he can't grasp his mind around is the concept of Islamic miracles, and he's talking about how different religions have different miracles in terms of their mathematical miracles, and he was talking about he was saying to me, I believe the example he gave me is to do with a greater conspiracy of Illuminati or something. He's saying that the prophet had some, I don't know if the prophet must have had some sort of connection with the Illuminati to know XYZ. And I know that a lot of when I did.
Illuminati is a
know.
modern thing, though.
I don't know. This is what he was talking about, but he was talking about different conspiracy theories and whatnot. But from the research that I did do, I guess you could say that a lot of the quote unquote things that were predestined to happen that he said were going to happen were quite vague, I guess you could say. But there are some things, like for example, the mathematical miracles that I did see in the Bible as well, and the Hebrew text, and as well as the Hindu scriptures. When I looked into those as well, when I was googling it, a lot of them do have mathematical miracles that I just can't grasp my head around. I know you're laughing right now, but I mean, do you guys have an explanation for that?
Is it the one where the miracle of the number 19, Tisat Ashar, or like the word Yom being used 365? Is it of that nature?
No. It's I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was one for something to do with sea
Okay.
and landmass.
So
and
yeah, okay, that's the same thing.
Yeah,
So
same type. Yeah.
what I would recommend is, well, first of all, if this miracle is appearing in other books, then obviously it's not that miraculous.
Because the Hindu God can't be the same as Muslim and both be right.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Look into miracle claims, you have to look into the details, and you have to ask yourself, am I begging the question? Can you find the same miracle in Shakespeare? And I tell your ex-Muslim friend to check out ABDULLAHsamir.com, Mathematical Miracles. I have an article on it where I talk about, like, in Shakespeare, you can find like examples like that too, where love and hate appear the same amount of times. There are going to be coincidences like this all over the place. And if the Bible is corrupted, why would the Bible have the same miracles? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
I was just making a point in favor of, I guess, the idea of theism.
Yeah, but then you have to admit the Bible's not corrupted then, because it has mathematical miracles. It has a checksum, right, so to speak.
I guess maybe not.
God then, or maybe Krishna is God because they have miracles too. So I think you debunked yourself right there.
I was going to say that I'm in favor. Everything I'm saying is in favor of Islam. I would just say that it's in favor of theism and how since I've met this ex-Muslim on my course, it has, I wouldn't say doubts, but it's led me to question certain things.
Okay, here's the one from Moby Dick. So Moby Dick, we know he wasn't writing a book from God, right? But someone did research to find, or was it me? I don't know. that found all these coincidences in the book. Scroll down. For example, prey and slain, grave and rest, same amount of times, faith and blood, peace and married. So this shows you that being married is peaceful, world and earth the same amount of times. Like, you can find these coincidences everywhere. And the more you look into a book, the more of these things you're going to find, right? I mean, it's just, and then here's another problem. The Quran is revealed in multiple dialects. So, and then the other problem with Arabic is, yeah, here you go. He's highlighting it. The word yom can be written as al-yom or ayyam or yomain. There's multiple ways. So a lot of these miracles
is what you're saying.
The inconsistency counting the ones they want to, but not the ones they don't want to, in order to make it add up to the number they want.
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Anything else would you like to add? I've looked into the numerology miracles myself. Like when I was, so my own story was that I gave up my faith in hadith before the Quran, because I was like, the Quran is from the God, like how is these miracles and stuff, and I hung on to the book. But then after I looked into it as well, and there was this doctor who did this research. This other 19 appointed over it, and he was trying to make the Quran everything a factor.
Rashid
Yeah.
Khalifa.
Yeah, make factorials of 19 everything, but then we found out no, that wasn't right, because one of the funny things I'll mention to you right now about Noman Ali Khan. So the Quran verse numberings in the Warsh Quran, the Duri, the Susi Quran, the Hafs and Asim, they're different. Okay, so you probably come across Noman Ali Khan quite a few times, right?
On YouTube,
Yeah, and you probably might have heard this. I'll give you one generic example. As he says in Surah Baqarah, Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا, that will make you the middle nation. And then Noman Ali Khan says that, funny enough, Surah Baqarah has 286 verses, and وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا occurs in 143 verse, which is right in the middle. Therefore, it's a miracle. How did he know? When you actually look it up, the verse numbering in the different rivayas of the Quran, the 7 other readings, is different. Right, so that wording doesn't add up. The verse divisions don't add up. In fact,
is Basmala part of the Quran or not? That's debated as well. The Bismillah.
Exactly. Now,
and 143 is an even number. It's not the middle. The middle would have is 287, right?
In the verse is 287 verses. Yeah, so it doesn't work out, the miracle. Then a lot of the times,
I'm saying 286 is an even number. There is no middle.
Mhm.
There's 2 middles. There's 2 middle numbers, right? Because it has to be odd for there to be middle. So, for example, the middle number from 1 to 3 is 2. There's no middle number from 1 to 4. There is no middle. Right?
It'll be like 2.5 or 3.5, something like that. Yeah,
between the two, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I find that like the versions of the Quran actually refute a lot of these numerical claims, because and the thing is, you'll be shocked to know that you can't even make claims about word counts anymore, because guess what? Different readings of the Quran have different words in them. Literally, numbers of letters are different. There's a whole hua missing in one of them. So if you're trying to apply the miracle of 19, this verse multiplies and the word bibaka, well, in another reading, no, it doesn't. So you're kind of cherry picking one reading from the other to kind of make it work.
I get you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's great. Thanks a lot, guys.
No problem, man. It was nice having this discussion.
All right.
It was super cool. Like, we talked about a few things. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate your call, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See, we enjoy discussions like this instead of somebody coming up like, why don't you debate me? I would appreciate exactly what Jalal did. That was amazing.
All right. Hey, researcher, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm from India actually. So I'm an agnostic. So I've been researching about religion. So I found that people have problem with religious teachings more than the concept of God. So what is your take on it? Like, are you against the concept of God, or like we should be against the religion itself? Like religion.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just answered that. I said I don't really care if people believe in God. I don't even care if people are Muslim or non-Muslim. What I care about is how they treat others. How the religion influences the world that we live in. That's the important thing. If the religion is going to, teach that women are inferior, they should get half the inheritance, that you can beat your wife, that you can do, then that's the problem. If you just want to believe in some random, that's your business, right? You know what I mean? So Abdul Gandhi, you said you got to step off for a second. I can take questions.
I already did. That was
okay,
earlier. Yeah. Okay, so the question I replied was, firstly, the idea of trying to like merge God with religion is false. Like the idea of a God or a being existing, creating the universe, doesn't necessarily mean he has to send us a book and he has to give us these minute laws and whatnot. To him, we could be as useless as ants. Like. How do we view insects? What's their purpose in life? We as humans deem every other life form to be kind of whatever, useless, right? So to us, like God could view us like that too, from a deistic perspective. So God can exist without meddling in or sending us books or talking to us, or just he created the universe and the universe runs on its laws or whatever he's done. He doesn't really intervene, right?
Yeah,
like
deism.
Yeah. So I want to add Indian philosophy into it. It's called Vedanta. So I have problem with it. So before getting into that, I just want to ask you, like, for me to accept God, it's not a problem. But when it comes to the problem of evil, it becomes a big problem. And if there is a God, then his duty is to protect the people, right? So if he can't do that properly, then he's not fit to be called as a God. But then again, a question rises: does God really need to respond immediately to all the people? Like, does he have any obligation? Like, if he wants, he can. If he doesn't, he doesn't. If he doesn't want to, then he doesn't want to. So
I think it's like what Gondal said. Like we don't even know if there is a God, whether he even knows we exist, whether he even cares. I think I'm much more, likely to believe in a God that doesn't even know that we exist, meaning that we're just a side effect. Like we just evolved out of something in some corner of the universe. If there is a God, maybe God's like a jellyfish, like not something with a consciousness. Like jellyfish are an interesting creatures. Jellyfish exist without a mind. They have no brain. Yet they're floating along, doing this shit, kind of like a plant or like a giant tree. So if there's something,
but they have stimulus, right? But they have stimulus wired inside them, right? Like
yeah,
they
but they don't have
respond to the
empathy.
surrounding.
They don't have empathy or any sort of, they don't care about any other creature. We humans, I think we project our ideas onto God. We want God to be a big daddy that takes care of us and protects us and helps us. We pray to him. This is I think we're just projecting onto God what we want God to be. But if there is a God, I don't think he's any of that. Or he's even a he.
So the thing is, for atheists, like I'm an agnostic, so for atheists, the biggest challenge is explaining the origin. Like just sitting down and just meditating in silence, like what happened in the beginning. So it doesn't seem logical that somehow out of vacuum something just erupted and matter came into existence, right? We are here. Like if you touch your own self, like on the hand, you can feel your skin. So it's all real. So but if you go back to like the start of the universe, like there should be something, right, which created everything, and what
Yeah.
created that thing. So it's a cycle. So there must be something. We can't just say, okay, there's a big bang and that everything came into existence.
Yes. So I'll just take you up on that as a point of logic. So have you heard about four causes of Aristotle?
No.
Okay, so there's the material cause, the final cause, the efficient cause, and the formal cause. I'll actually put up a picture so that'll help with the explanation. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can you see that there? The four causes.
No, I can't see.
Okay, so just to simplify it, if you need to make something, right? If the first thing was you need, for example, you're building a table, you need to make the table out of something. The first thing would be the wood, which is the table, right? The efficient cause would be the force that pushes it into existence, which would be you making the table. The formal cause would be form, function, or essence of a thing. It is what it does after it's being made. And the final is what the thing exists for the sake of the ultimate purpose of the object, as in the table exists, right?
Yeah.
When you look at it, the material cause is missing in God's hypothesis too. Think about this. God exists, but where did the matter come from for creating the universe? So when you think about this, all you're doing is theists don't know. They also believe in creation ex nihilo. In fact, they believe in creation ex nihilo more than atheists. I don't believe in it. Maybe not. I'm agnostic about the origins of the universe.
Yeah, I think ex materia makes a lot of sense because if you look at what the Big Bang is, it's all of matter already existing and then exploding and expanding. The material was already there for the Big Bang. Where did it come from? We don't know. Maybe it's eternal. Maybe it's cyclical. And I think I think you're coming from a Hindu background, as you said. There's
cyclical universe, yeah.
Universe in Hindu philosophy as well, which makes a lot more sense than big day of judgment, creation, and God's going to flatten the earth and make the mountains flat, and the sun and the moon are going to collapse, and everyone's going to be naked and uncircumcised, and the sun's going to. None of that makes sense. It's all bullshit fairy tales. But like, okay, cyclical universe. Maybe it's true, right? Maybe it's always been ex nihilo makes no, doesn't really make sense because we're saying everything had a.
Think about it from a theistic perspective. They still don't have the four causes. They still don't have the material cause. They use God to then special plead or say, God, magic, material cause. Okay, there you go. God created matter out of nowhere. in essence, they're also arguing just nowhere. They just add the God thing, and that's the magic, basically.
Yeah.
It's like a buzzword at that point.
I mean, the same idea, which if God always existed, we could just say the universe always existed. Why do you need to add a God there? You know what I mean?
I
Anyway.
mean, even if it's a cyclical thing, there should be a starting point for the cycle to happen, right? Like
Well,
nothing
here's
like
the thing.
perpetual motion machine cannot exist,
Bro,
right?
okay, start the idea. One of the things I find is when we talk about these things, our nomenclature, our language is embedded in the perspective of time.
Mhm.
If there is no time, there is no start and there is no beginning. You understand? If there's
Yeah.
eternity, then anything and everything that, for example, take, let's say, a dice, right? The dice has whatever X amount of sides, but let's say you rolling the number 10 is 1 in a million. Okay, but because there is no time, regardless, and if there's fluctuation, it
It's 100%,
will
right?
eventually end up happening no matter what.
Yeah. So
Okay.
every single, yeah, even if there's a million-sided die, every single side of that die will always be 100% chance of hitting it. It's not 1 in a million, it's 100% because it's going on forever and ever and ever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So if you have like 5 minutes of time, I can explain the Indian philosophy in like 2-3 minutes. Like,
One more thing. If you're saying that God, if you're saying that it has to be a beginning,
yeah,
then well, what's the beginning of God? Why is it okay for God to always exist?
I mean, they define God as something like non-material, so maybe
Yeah.
that's easy to explain more than material things, you know. Like Big Bang is material, so it's very hard to explain where the material comes from. But God being spiritual, it's I think it's very easy like to explain his origins, you know, like he's eternal, like no matter is involved in it.
I think whether material or not material, either way, we have a challenge as human beings that there's going to be some questions we can never answer. For example, like why we're here, why we exist, why anything exists. I mean, that's something we've always puzzled on.
Mhm.
And we're the only creatures out of all of the animals that actually are able to ask ourselves, why do we exist? Why is there a universe? Frankly speaking, I don't think there's any answer for that. I don't think we'll ever be able to answer why there's a universe unless we somehow, like the Truman Show, we detect a sign in the clouds that there's a programmer that programmed us inside some,
Exactly.
like, we're in some simulation or
But,
something like that.
but I'm gonna connect this with suffering. You see, when people get depressed and they're suffering or they had a huge bad luck, they'll think about the universe and why it's happening, and ultimately they will find refuge in God. So that refuge, atheism cannot provide it. So you
But
know,
it's a
like
false refuge because you're getting refuge and is not actually doing anything for you. So as your child is dying of cancer and you pray to God, your child is still dying of cancer. He's not going to come back. Yet you think you're getting something out of it, but you're not. Instead of actually investing energy in improving the world and maybe doing cancer research, you pray to God and you expecting you're going to meet your child again, and so you don't even take any action. Maybe you do take action, maybe you don't. But the fact is, I think the idea of God poisons, the belief of actually the fact that this world that we have is the only world and the only short life that we have. But in terms of like explaining Hindu philosophy, I'm going to have to pass on that because we do have
okay,
2 other people waiting.
sure, no problem.
I
And
just wanted to show one thing here, just talking about predestination. If you can see that there's, in the second one here, you see that Adam and Moses were arguing. Moses said to Adam, "You are Adam, whose mistake expelled you from paradise." Adam said to him, "You are Moses, whom Allah selected," and spoke directly. "Yet you blame me for a thing which had already been written in my fate before my creation."
Mm.
So Allah had purposefully made this whole plan out that Adam is going to eat from the fruit and whatnot. So they're arguing, and the prophets themselves are like, this makes no sense from a theological perspective of free will. It's a big problem now. Why is Allah making Adam ask forgiveness from him then?
That's
The
true.
whole thing, the whole point. If
Like he knows all
blaming
the Yeah, he knows all the options and he knows what the man chooses and he knows what will be the consequences. So it's not really a free will, you know. It's like
yeah,
pre-planned this thing.
like,
can
and
I?
the explicit argument between Moses and Adam brings it forth where Moses literally says, uh, "You blame me for a thing which had already been written in my fate before my creation." Adam is telling Moses that. So the whole original sin thing it was orchestrated by Allah, right? So it makes, from a theological perspective, no sense.
I just want to add one more thing, which is I forgot my point now. I saw some silly comment. And, I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
All right, thanks for your call. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, bye. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. Okay, but you can go. That's fine. What I wanted to say is a lot of people misunderstand. I should have kept him on, anyways. A lot of people misunderstand what it means to be agnostic and atheist. Most agnostics are also atheist. Agnostic doesn't mean that you are like a half atheist or something, or like a baby atheist. Agnosticism and atheism talk about two different things. Gnosticism is whether you know. Theism is whether you believe. So for a theist is someone who believes in God. Atheist is someone who doesn't believe in God. Agnostic is someone that who knows or doesn't know. So most agnostics are atheists, agnostic atheists. There are also agnostic theists. Like maybe my parents would be considered agnostic theists. They believe in God, but they're also, skeptical, the agnostic, the questioning. Most agnostics tend to be atheists. So just wanted to clarify that it's not a spectrum. It's more like there's two levels of you can be agnostic theist, agnostic atheist. You know what I mean? You can be agnostic atheist, gnostic. You can't really be a gnostic atheist because you can't really know there's no God, because you're knowing something that you're like that's not true. So that's not likely to be the case. But usually you would say agnostic and atheist are both attributes. So I'm agnostic atheist. I wouldn't be just agnostic. It's not just agnostic or just atheist. Just want to clarify. Anyways, thanks for your call. Okay, Abdullah, we gotta get finishing up. So just quickly, Asif. Hello.
I'm gonna talk, yeah?
Hi. I think you have the stream. I'm just gonna mute you. I think you have the stream playing in the background. You need to join the. Hello, Pig Progress.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, I've been watching Abdullah Samir for some time now. I would call myself a recent atheist, but I'm still like teetering over the line.
Okay.
I don't really want to let go of Islam, but like the obvious things, they don't really make sense, and they're not really like very inviting. The child molestation and the slavery part and everything in between. One thing I would like to say that have you guys ever heard about the guy Daniel Hakikatu? How come haven't you debated that guy? Like I saw one of his debates with Red One, and he like completely destroyed him. In my opinion, I'm not saying that Red One was presenting weak. I mean, he was presenting weak arguments, but he was also very anxious and not very convincing.
Yeah, some
Okay,
people are not
one
good at debates. I think that's a problem. Some people, sometimes are not either not prepared or not really understanding what they need to research before doing it. I know Ridwan, I don't think did that well in that case, in that particular debate. Maybe he wasn't expecting the, like Pikachu, Hakikachu had some specific like references which he brought up in the stream, and because he's bringing it up for the first time, apostate prophet didn't know about these specific studies or whatever, and he wasn't expecting to be bringing up studies and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe one day we'll debate him, one of us or either of us. I haven't really considered it. It would be interesting, I guess, at some point. Debates are not really my thing.
I'll explain my strategy if I were to debate him. So firstly, the thing is, like, he comes from a Shia background, became Sunni, and he's very orthodox, as in very strict and very unapologetic with his views. So
yeah, that's the thing I was.
I would just open. I wouldn't even say a word. I would just open the books, the classical books of fiqh, and just be like, this guy says kill ex-Muslims, wherever, all of these things, like the unsheathted sword, al-salim al-maslul, shatim al-rasul, or reliance of the traveler, or ash-shifa by Qadi Iyad, and confront them in the face with these verdicts, and he has nowhere to go. He has to either acknowledge them, that he believes in them, or he can disown all of his classical scholarship. That's the problem I feel like we need to do, is instead of half of the problems, we don't even need to debate these people. We just need to show them their own books and then have them explain it to us. And
Yeah, but
honestly, that will get
the
half
thing
the work
about
done.
that guy is that he can come up with an explanation for everything, and it's the thing of like I am not like in my own mind very skilled enough to come up with counterpoints in my own head. So the only choice I have left is just to agree with him.
What specific
And
points did he mention, like, that you agree?
like let's just take for example the war prisoners. When you kill soldiers on the other side, you can take their women as property, right? So
Mhm.
he can justify that in those times, the tribe who had the most people, they would win, and it sounds very dystopian.
Sounds
Not
very what?
good.
Sorry, it's a little bit hard to hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
people are saying they can't hear you.
it doesn't sound very good, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense that
Yeah.
I mean the point is that he was the prophet and he should have known better. Yeah, but he
Oh,
did,
well,
and
I have
the whole game here is moral relativism. And this
okay.
is very important for Muslims to understand. And I don't know why Hakikaju either doesn't explain this to the people or he doesn't catch it on. Is when Muslims claim لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, that in Muhammad is the best example for all times to come. They cannot then
Okay,
say there was
can you give me the reference for that? Can you give me the reference for that?
3321. 3321.
Alright,
Uh,
okay,
I mean, it's
moving
a
on.
common Islamic belief that Muhammad is the best man, and we all know that, right?
right?
He's just
So,
big and whatever.
Okay,
so
I'm from.
the
I
Muslim,
know that one of you is at least from Pakistan, right?
yeah, me.
Yeah, I'm from Pakistan as well. So one thing
Okay.
I would like to shed light on is that in the recent months, ever since the death of that Mullah Khadim Rizvi, do you know him?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So his son is about 10 times as big of a threat as he was. Have you seen his videos recently?
No, I did not.
Dude, that motherfucker, I can't even like begin to fucking. Okay, let me ask you this question.
Sorry, we're
Do you
changing.
think that
Did we finish the first question already about the slaves? We're jumping on another one, and we don't really have time. Abdullah Gandhi has to go.
Yeah.
okay,
So,
I just want
Towards
to ask this one. Do you think
okay.
that being religious is a product of lack of intellectual honesty, or do you think it's a product of poverty?
It's a very broad question, and I would say so. Religion in its own is an attempt by our ancestors with sincere efforts to understand reality. At times, sometimes some aspects of religion are manipulative, but to say that it's completely and obviously always like intellectually, no, that's not true. That's not the case. I mean, you can find a lot of scientists that are geniuses, Nobel Prize winners that are also religious, and some I know cosmologists who still believe the Earth is 6,000
Abdul
years
Salam,
old.
do
Right?
you know about?
Yeah, Dr. Abdulsalam. So there'll be religious people there too. So this is what's called a cognitive dissonance or compartmentalization of knowledge, where the way you store or the way you perceive religion is in a completely different part of your head or in your mind, where the critical part of your personality never touches upon it in a way. For example, a quantum physicist can be a Muslim, but he would never really think about the same way about Islam, the way he thinks about quantum mechanics, because it's in a separate compartment in a way. So I would say no,
Yeah,
Muslims
they
are not
wouldn't
dumb
apply the
people.
same logic to their own beliefs. Okay, go on.
Exactly, it's like selective thinking, or we can say that as cognitive dissonance, right? So
Okay,
no,
I
but
was
generally
very
there have been
surprised.
papers. As sorry.
Okay, I was very surprised that Khadim Rizvi's son. I mean, his party is blowing up right now. There was a recent election in a
Sorry,
town
sorry.
called Daska,
We don't have
and
time
they
for
came
this.
in second.
We don't have time for this political discussion. I'm
Oh,
so sorry.
Yeah, I'm not up to date with the Pakistani
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
politics.
okay. I'm good.
just let
Some
me
other
just
time,
quickly
guys.
answer what you said, and we're just gonna have to end it on that because okay, so about the slavery, I highly recommend you check out two Abdullahs presentation on slavery. If you
Okay.
have any sort of doubt that this was a good thing, watch that 2-hour presentation and you will not be able to say Muhammad was a good man. Like I'm not going to repeat all the points for you, but just watch that. And in regard to I forgot what the other question was, but anyways, you just check that out, and you'll see that I don't know Pikachu, sorry, Hakitaju, what he's saying, but like there's so much bad things, so much evil that happened because of Muhammad's rulings on slavery. There's no way you can justify this man was the best man. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. But anyways, I'm not going to repeat myself.
Okay, one last thing. Can I just one last thing?
Gondel's up to you.
I'm very
Okay, go ahead.
surprised that these people aren't being taken down on YouTube, because they are like publicly calling for chopping off heads of blasphemers. They say a phrase like "Man sabba nabiyyan faqtuluhu," which
yeah.
literally
Whoever insults the
So-
prophet, kill him. Yeah.
yeah. So how are they able to spread hate speech on YouTube and get taken
The
down?
left has this whole idea that if your religion has hateful ideas, but if you're a minority, you kind of get a free pass on this stuff. So they're going to be more lenient towards you. So this is one thing that I've noticed with the media as well.
I'm just going to make a prediction here. This shit is going to like grow like wild in the coming months and years. Like this is not gonna settle down.
Well, no,
I live
I'm
in Lahore.
thinking about like my family and friends in Pakistan. They keep telling me like the disparity, the people, like I get so many messages. There's like atheism is going nuts in universities and schools in Pakistan, and there's a
that's
huge,
true.
exactly. Like I know, so like honestly, like all my class, I found out last year that more than half of them are atheists. Like my classmates from high school, half of my team, my
I
Islamic
have
studies
seen some
teachers are
people
atheists.
actually
Come
go
on.
the other way as well, but I haven't really talked to them or
Yeah.
asked them for their rationality. Okay, I understand your shorter time. Some
All
other
right,
time, guys.
thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thanks. Bye. All right. I'm not going to add anybody else because we're out of
Yeah.
time. Just add some concluding comments and we'll end it at that. And I'll just go first. Thank you everyone for joining, and please do subscribe to the new channel. It's new for a while now, but I guess it's old now. And lots of people today. It was a good call. I think people are looking forward to this, and hopefully we'll be able to continue doing it from time to time as the schedule goes. We won't be able to take any more callers now. Apologies for that. And yeah, final words to you.
So I just want to show you guys what I've been up to the past 2-3 months. So what you're looking, I don't know if you guys can see it clearly, but these are about 170 items. And this is the research I've been doing. So what you see, these are psychotic, Muhammad, the name of the folder. These are symptoms of epilepsy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a search word like fainting, or faint, and just see how many pop up. These are the references just for the word fainting that Muhammad. To show you, let's see. Well, yeah, let's take this one. Can you see it or no?
It's a little bit. Oh, yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Okay. So here, like Muhammad would faint when he got the revelation for marrying Zainab, his adopted son's wife. There is this one from Majma' al-Zawaid. Like this one's pretty interesting. I'm just gonna make this full screen for you guys. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but it says that whenever revelation came upon Muhammad, he would faint. Like every time. And he says one of the chains is Sahih. Let's write something else. Let's see trembling. Okay, I write trembling. 23 results pop up. I'm just going to show you a few. Let's see, Tafsir al-Qurtubi. What does this one say? This one says, I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, it says the Surah Muzammil. So this one says, so Muhammad heard the voice of an angel, and then he looked at the angel. He was seized by trembling. Okay. I'm trying to get some that's English. There you go. This one's English. This is from Asbabul Nuzul. It's for Surah Duha. This is, by the way, this exact one appears in like 7 different tafsirs, and this one says the Prophet of Allah, bless him and gave him peace, then came in with his jawbones trembling. They made fun of me, right, saying that there's no narrations. I found like 3 of them. Whenever revelation came to him, he shivered. Okay, and he said, "Oh, Khawla, cover me, cover me." There was one that I want to show you, the foaming in the mouth as well. Now these are like 6 references for that.
So long story short,
Yeah.
you have compiled you have compiled a database of all sorts of what would you say, like mental health related issues or signs of epilepsy, or how do you want to describe it?
Basically, we have symptoms of epilepsy where we have auras, we have fainting, loss of consciousness, we have snorting and heavy breathing, choking sensations, straight up convulsions. Like I'll show you that Sahih narrations where he would straight up just have full on shaking convulsions as well. He would foam and froth at the mouth. There's narrations where he would be sitting here and his buddy would be suddenly, his head would go up, go down to the ground, fixate on the ground, and then he'd appear to move his lips and talk, then come back, and he wouldn't remember what just happened. There's lots of this. He would be constantly taken over by trembling and shaking. But yeah, basically you have different versions of this pop up. This one says, just to show you guys, وَتَزْبَدْ لَهُ وَجْهُ, that he would foam at the mouth when he would be receiving the revelation. But this is going to be a huge one. As you can see, this is like what? 170 references.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great presentation once you get it done.
I'm trying to make like a good video, or like I just want to show you one last one, and then we will. This one is from okay, yeah, this one. So what you're looking at here is this one. كنت أكتب الوحيد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان إذا نزل عليه أخذته برهان شديدا. يعني when revelation came upon him, he would be seized by a fit, a paroxysm of severity, or a convulsive state, or a highly feverish state. And then it goes, and he would start sweating, and then he'd also make the sounds and whatnot. But yeah, this one also is 2, 3, 3, and it's talks about the sanad and whatnot. And Suyuti said, وَرَجَالُهُ مَوْثِقُونَ, that this is in fact Sahih Hadith.
So
anyways,
let's save this for the presentation.
Yeah.
Because it'll be more interesting, I think, when we add the commentary and we show it with
exactly
explanation and put it in its proper place and all that. But yeah, any final words for today? Circus of Islam number 3 plus lots of calls. It was a good show. I have blocked one Dawa because he's being a real jerk as usual. He's on his Twitter bragging about how I'm so scared of him. Honestly, people spend all the energy talking about drama like this. You know they're not engaging in good faith. Like, I want to engage with people like Jalal, who calls in, and I knew already one Dawa. I remember that I had a bad experience with this guy, but like Jalal, he comes on and he's asking us questions. We're having a conversation. We're respectful of each other. That's the type of content that I want to encourage, not this like Muhammad hijab, shouting at speakers corner, like shouting over each other, or like the way he does debates where he basically strawmans, he strawman David Wood and misrepresented what he was saying multiple times. These type of people, like, they're not, like, who wants to engage with people like that? And if someone's going to say, well, you also did some shitty things, he brought up the George Floyd. I made this dumb joke on Twitter where I said Muhammad was, choked in the cave by the angel. And I realized after that it was disrespectful to George Floyd and the fact that he died and the whole, movement of Black Lives Matter. So I apologize for it. In no way I was actually being disrespectful to that, but I was making a dumb joke about Muhammad. That's all it was. Right? It was a petty joke. But anyways, the point is, like, there's engaged. I have done stupid things like that too. So if someone, for example, Fareed or anybody wants to say, I don't want to talk to a Hakika Judah, I don't want to talk to Abdullah because he's a prick and he makes stupid jokes about a prophet, I would say I respect that. That's your prerogative. Hamza Sotis might say you're a troll. If he thinks I'm a troll, or Jonathan Brown doesn't want to talk to me, or Yasir Qadhi, that's up to them. Like, that is how. But if you're gonna go on someone's stream, debate me, you're a coward. Like, how desperate are you? Like, how needy are you for attention that you can't just make your own content. If you want to refute me, go ahead and refute me on your channel. Tafaddal, like you're most welcome. But if you're gonna come on someone else's show and desperately beg for it, and then go on Twitter and say, "Oh, look, he's scared," like I don't want to talk to people like that, man. Just do your own thing. You know, you're most welcome. Go ahead. I don't care. I'm not gonna engage with you. Like, you're most welcome. Do your own thing. That's it. That's all I have to say about that incident. And it's unfortunate, you know, that one Dawa made a video where he took Shabir Ali. Shabir Ali is actually like a good Muslim scholar. He is someone that has, you know, reflecting on Islam, and actually some of his positions are actually quite reasonable. Like, you shouldn't kill apostates. You know, that like stoning is not part of Islam. That if you want to pay, you're not allowed to pay interest. You're not allowed to accept interest because the Quran says those who consume riba, but you can pay interest and get a mortgage. So he's actually helping Muslims to have like a somewhat reasonable life, right? And these guys, they made a compilation. One Dawa made a compilation of him, like putting all of these things together to try to make him look like he's like an apostate or something, or he's a terrible Muslim. And they're trying to get him canceled in the Muslim community. And then Hakuju took his video and blew it up even more.
The funny thing is this is how I see it, and I don't know how when Muslims are going to realize this. The whole Dawa scene is being ruined by immature teenagers. Absolutely. I'm not even joking. You have, and I will tell you this, there are people who are nice, who are scholars, who are academics. People like Yasir Qadi, when they voice an opinion that, okay, some ulama didn't consider this as shirk, it has to be taken that he's voicing other people's opinion. It does not necessitate that everybody starts refuting Yasir Qadi. Now the Shabir Ali is gone. Who's next? Dr. Zakir Naik is going to be attacked. He's already been attacked. And then
is another Salafi that,
but the point is what these people need to do is learn to put their differences aside and get together instead of takfiring each other all the time. Like, come on. They make the community, they project their own sectarianism to the world to see.
Yeah.
Right? Like
this whole thing started because of Farid. Farid was trying to be
Farid leaks.
And this whole holes in the narrative, the amount of people that left Islam because of this, the amount of damage to the dawah, all because you're trying to refute your fellow Muslim scholar because you can't accept a little bit of difference of opinion. And you're trying to make Islam, like this Puritanists are going to destroy Islam, and they're going to throw more people out of Islam. And go ahead, like keep acting like little, trolls or whatever. And
yeah, it's funny. Like, what we need more people like Shabir Ali and Yasir Qadi to be at the forefront and taking control of the Dawah movement and whatnot and being the leaders. But in fact, we have these unqualified email leaking, disrespectful people jumping and just making refutation video after refutation video.
Yeah.
And what you will see now, I'm actually also preparing a big refutation against the Dr. Farid al-Khajja, or Farid's cousin, the neurologist. I have two neurologists on my side, as well as an MD that'll be coming on to help me out as well when we explain this. But the point is, like, just to show you, the guy comes in and says, oh, it's Gondal's opinion, don't listen to him. But no, I told you in my stream, like, no, listen, these are epileptologists written books. I will literally hold the books in my hand and show you. A point is that, like, the Dawah scene has become very reactionary, and it's all about nitpicking negativities. There's no positive coming out of it. You're just creating a toxic environment where if anybody takes one word or one step wrong, kafir or shirk. Like, that's not how it's done. And you don't come on like Yasir Qadi is like, astaghfirullah, the deviant, the zindiq, he's gonna ruin the ummah. Yani, bro, he did so much work for the ummah. He's helped so. I don't know. I feel like I'm being an apologist for Qadi right now. Honestly,
it's true. These people are saving. Mufti Abu Layth, Yasir Qadi, and Shabir Ali are keeping people Muslim. But these fanatics, these extremists, these hardcore Salafis are ever increasingly making the ummah smaller and smaller until everybody's out of Islam. And I wonder, like, if they're gonna push someone badly enough that these people will actually publicly leave Islam. I don't know. Maybe the day is gonna come where they like attack like Shabir Ali, and Shabir Ali's like, I don't want anything to do with you guys.
It's this weird idea of, like, the ghuraba concept that over time the righteous people will like reduce, and it'll be like holding a coal in your hand, and you'll be the ghuraba, and Dora fitna. So they have this weird mentality of self-righteousness where like, okay, anybody is gonna say anything like remotely off the manhaj, takfir. It's just, it's like, I feel bad. What I'm trying to say is, even as an ex-Muslim, I know that the Muslim community has scholars and individuals that are more mature and should be representing the Muslim community in a much more fair manner. Like these Ali Davas, these Muhammad hijabs, honestly, they're only famous on YouTube. Most of the people, the ulama, the sheikhs at the mosque, they're not like these guys. They're decent, mature people.
Yeah.
They don't behave and like, especially people like Dr. Yasser Qadi. Like, even though I disagree with him, he's still a scholar. And for them to pick on his evolution as a person over 20 years, like his facial look change and whatnot, it's immature, you know? Like Muslim Twitter, Muslim YouTube become obsessed with, like, even against us, all they do is they keep making memes about us. They don't really engage, just memes. You're this, I'm a donkey, and you're you're something, and this is the problem, right? And well, they're giving us free publicity. Anyways.
Yeah, like, and you'll notice that people like that, the type of crowd they have this like immature loser crowd, debunked, wrecked, you know, this type of people. So it is what it is. If that's the audience they want to build, I mean, they can build that. I don't really care. I think people do need to understand that everyone, Muslim and non-Muslim, has a right to decide who to engage with. Like, it just sometimes you wonder though, like when you know, sometimes we do have a right to call out people when they say we're inviting atheists to call in, like for example the SC Dawa or Hamza's Den has an open call-in show, and they explicitly only allow white atheists and not ex-Muslim atheists. You can ask, why are you guys not allowing us to call in? I mean, that's like, I allowed one Dawa to come, and then he started being again grandstanding, no content, no actual substance. I'm like, okay, I don't want to talk to you. But I wasn't going to do that. I was going to call, you know, Hamza's Den. Someone a Muslim asked me to call in. I was going to ask him a question about apostasy, and I would have engaged with them. And there's an all-star team, man. They had Muhammad Hijab, Hamza Soetis, Subur. They had Mansoor. They had a bunch of people that they have way more experience than me in having these conversations and debates. I barely talk to Muslims because Muslims don't call. Not many Muslims don't call in. These guys are in speaker's corner. They would have outgunned me for sure, 6 versus 1. Yet still, they didn't want me to call. Now that you got to wonder. It didn't even give me a chance. Like, okay, if I showed up and said, "Why are you guys scared of me?" Okay, if they kick me out, I would expect that. But to kind of so sometimes we do have a point that there is a question to be asked: why are you guys scared, or why are you guys avoiding this? But when you have people like this that are just being petty, and like last time as well, we allowed some guy to come to call in, and the first question he asked Gondal, "Why are you running away?" I'm like, this is the type of people that call in. Like, we're allowing you to call in and you're asking why we're running away. Does that make any sense? You're here.
Use that. Like, he could have asked a question about miracles or something, right? Like,
use the platform to your benefit. And anyways, I think we've gone on for too long. I apologize for keeping you and everyone else for whoever was been here from the beginning. Thank you guys, all of you guys, and hopefully we'll have another one soon. And stay safe, and see you later. Bye.
Bye.